A young man with blue hair, Yihi, suddenly jolts awake in a high school classroom, realizing with horror that he has gone back in time to the period just before his college entrance exam. He lets out a silent scream of frustration as he looks around at the chaotic classroom scene. He laments that if he had to be reincarnated, it should have at least been after he got into college. A narrative explains that since ancient times, humanity on Blue Star has been plagued by a catastrophe known as the Secret Realm Invasion, where rifts to another world open, filled with terrifying monsters. These powerful monsters can destroy entire nations, threatening all of human civilization. To fight back, humanity developed a beast gene system, allowing people to inject beast genes to awaken a monster template and unlock genetic talents, creating a class of warriors to save their world. This new era made martial strength the most important attribute, with warriors enjoying a much higher status than ordinary people. A translucent blue system screen announces that the world traversal introduction is complete and identifies the new body host as Yihi, a high school student, before beginning to implant memories. Yihi clutches his head as the memories flood his mind. Two of his classmates mock him from a few desks away, calling him trash Yihi, and remarking that he's having another nightmare, finding it laughable that such a loser would even want to take the college entrance exam. A female student with glasses leans over her desk, smugly telling Yihi that he should just drop out of school and go home to become a common worker until he dies. Yihi reflects that it seems every bullied protagonist story has a lead female antagonist like her. He understands from the implanted memories that the original owner of this body had a poor reputation in class because his parents had an accident in their second year, which caused him to lose focus on his studies and training. His once decent grades plummeted, and he became a drag on the class average. The girl angrily asks what he's looking at and if he's trying to start a fight in the martial arts class. Yihi feels a sense of tragedy, knowing he didn't slack off, but is now the one suffering the consequences of this unpopular and humiliating life. An old teacher addresses the class, asking if they are ready and announcing that they are about to begin injecting the genetic modification serum. He tells them to have confidence, as their 3 years of effort in building their physiques and training their martial energy have all led to this day. Yihi tells himself it's a joke and that he has nothing to panic about since he wasn't the one who was slacking off. But he still resolves to do everything right and clean up the original guy's mess. The students are gathered in the gene injection hall for the genetic injection conference. They excitedly discuss what kind of templates they might awaken, with one hoping for a Tier 3 mountain splitter and another for a Tier 4 sea bridge dragon, while a third jokes that someone will probably awaken a Tier 1 butt beast. The injection devices are shown, holding vials of the gene awakening serum. The teacher explains that the serum contains the primal genes of all magical beasts ever recorded by human warriors, and that after injection, a student will absorb one at random to awaken their power. He states that usually, a stronger physique awakens a stronger gene, before calling students up by name to receive their serum. He tells them not to be nervous and to calmly accept the surge of power once the serum is injected. The students who receive the injection scream in pain as the serum takes effect. Yihi observes their reactions, noting that it won't be easy, but steels himself and decides he's going for it. After he injects the serum, there is no immediate reaction. A classmate points out that Yihi doesn't seem to have changed much at all. Yihi wonders to himself if he received a fake dose. The other students begin to laugh, mocking him for not awakening anything. The female antagonist from before taunts him, saying a warrior who hasn't awakened is like a bird without wings, and that he's completely doomed. She tells him this suits him just fine, and that he can now go home and wait to die. As she speaks, Yi feels a strange sensation begin to build within him. A system window suddenly appears in his vision, announcing that he has acquired the infinite monster template. His host information is displayed, showing his overall physique as rank E and listing his martial skills. He tells the bullies to get out of there, warning them that it will be too late if they don't leave now. The girl scoffs, asking what he's doing and telling him to stop pretending if he didn't awaken anything. A massive, shadowy beast form wreathed in blue energy erupts from Yihi's body. The powerful impact of his aura sends all the nearby students flying. The female antagonist cries out, wondering who awakened something so powerful, feeling that she can't handle the aura before she starts to get sick. A different female student, with purple energy emanating from her hands, looks on with a surprised expression. Yihi feels the power surging through him, wondering if there is someone stronger than him present. His system displays the information for his new A-rank template, Mad Flame Demola, which has a current compatibility of 3%. He realizes that this A-rank template, the Infinite Monster template, must be the special ability, the Golden Finger, that the system has given him. He thinks to himself that the person who just released that powerful aura was the loser, Yihi. He notes that Yihi instantly used his aura to blow away everyone nearby. A girl who was knocked to the ground notes that even Wang Xing was knocked out, and she had awakened a second-tier magic beast, the Flame Claw Scorpion. Another student wonders what template Yihi awakened. Yihi, looking at the chaos he caused, apologizes, saying he made quite a scene while awakening and that he had told them to step back, but they wouldn't listen. An announcement is made that all awakened third-year students must proceed to the testing building to examine their magical beast gene and test their martial arts level. Inside the testing building, a gene breakthrough detection device is shown, which can test a subject's magical beast gene and martial level. On a large screen, a student named Lai Xinyuan's results are displayed, showing he awakened a third-tier magical beast bloodline, the Swift Spine Bug. Other students comment on his luck, noting he was just average before but is now number 1, lamenting how unfair strong bloodlines are. Another student's results show he awakened a top-tier bloodline among Tier 3 bloodlines, the Ice Demon Dragon, cementing his status as the champion of Ansheng City. The students then discuss a female student who awakened a Stage 4 rare bloodline, the Nether Sparrow, making her the top scorer of the province. Yihi contemplates the results, wondering why their templates are classified as Stage 3 or Stage 4, while his is A-class. The announcer then calls for the next student from Class 7, Grade 3, Yihi. As Yihi walks towards the testing device, the other students are buzzing with excitement, commenting on his intense presence and how he might become someone big one day. They remark that this world truly revolves around martial power. One student exclaims that with the aura he just had, his level must be high. The crowd is in awe, wondering what kind of bloodline could release that kind of pressure after awakening. A girl calls him her dream guy, while another student remarks that he really is something to look forward to. The test begins, but the screen only shows question marks for his data, with only basic information available. The final result displays his class, his name, his rank as a martial disciple Stage 3, and his beast bloodline as unknown. The crowd immediately turns on him, with one student scoffing that even his little brother in middle school could beat a martial disciple Stage 3. They call him an embarrassing letdown and conclude that the powerful aura from before was just a loud fart. As they mock him for still being a hopeless loser, Yihi stands silently, thinking that, as expected, the template wasn't detected. However, he sees a new prompt from the system, explaining that the Infinite Monster template can be upgraded by completing quests or increasing his reputation, which will grant him additional monster templates. He realizes his template rank might be different from theirs, and a determined look crosses his face. He thinks that as long as he meets the conditions, he can draw monster templates infinitely. A dark, menacing aura surrounds him, as he realizes that this would make him the king of monsters. Yihi sits in the principal's office, on the phone with his teacher, asking for a break to study at home and return for the college entrance exam. His teacher is skeptical, questioning if he can be trusted to actually study at home. Yihi stands up and insists that he really wants to improve, explaining that he's fallen too far behind and needs special training, as following everyone else's pace gives him no hope. The teacher reminds him that the only way to become a warrior is to go to college, and that while he has awakened his bloodline, his foundation is too weak to pass the entrance exam. He advises Yihi to prepare to repeat the year and not to rush it. But Yihi, with a desperate fire in his eyes, declares that he's awakened a powerful bloodline and can definitely succeed if he trains hard. The teacher, seeing the sincerity in his eyes, agrees to let him try, but tells him he'll still be coming back to repeat the. Yihi arrives at the Ansheng Warrior Center. He reflects on his financial situation, having mortgaged his parents' house for 600,000 and received over $1 million in accident compensation, giving him a decent amount of startup capital. To improve his power, he has two options: level up as a warrior or increase the contract rate with his Demola template. According to the data, his template started with 1 point of compatibility, but it currently has 3. He deduces that the template must have absorbed the power of the genetic awakening serum, which gave it 2 extra points of compatibility. This proves to him that gene-related serums in this world can enhance his template's abilities. He decides that instead of training himself to death, spending money to raise his template's compatibility suits him better. He needs to hurry and buy a gene-enhancing serum. He uses his student ID card to enter the center. Upon entering, he immediately senses that everyone there has awakened their bloodline. He realizes that after awakening the Mad Flame Demola template, he gained its unique sensory ability, the life magnetic field, which allows him to sense the life signals emitted by other creatures. He can clearly feel the warrior's kai and blood burning like a furnace inside them, along with the beastly roars in their bloodlines. He feels an irrepressible fighting desire welling up inside him, a trait of the Demola, the king of beasts destined to conquer all life on the planet. He acknowledges that he's just a rookie for now and must suppress this fighting bloodline, but vows that once he grows stronger, he'll show the world what it means to be the king of beasts. A voice calls out to him, telling him not to peek at others so casually. A curvaceous woman in a revealing outfit confronts him. He apologizes, saying he didn't mean to. She dismisses it, saying it's normal for someone who just awakened their monster gene to not be able to control their powers. She asks what brings him to the Warrior Center. He explains he's there to buy genetic medicine, but can't find his way. She seems surprised that he's already using genetic medicine at this stage. She explains that gene medicine isn't cheap and can cause resistance, making it less effective over time. Warriors usually wait until their bloodline reaches a bottleneck before using it to maximize the effect. He asks her how much one gene potion costs. She tells him that at his current stage, he can only use the solid-type beginner potion, which costs around 400,000. He is shocked by the price, realizing he couldn't even afford 5 with all his savings. He then asks if she knows anyone who could get him a discount. She smiles and hands him her business card, which identifies her as a 4th-rank martial artist named Huang Hilai, telling him a veteran warrior's referral can get him a discount. He thanks her profusely. She wishes him well, telling him they might see each other again if fate allows. With his new funds, Yi goes on an insane spending spree, paying 450,000 at the Warrior Hospital and buying weapons. Later, in a room, he endures excruciating pain as he uses the gene potions. His beast template's compatibility increases from 3% to 7%. A system window shows his overall stats have risen, and he is now at armed rank 7. He exclaims that this is what leveling up feels like. He notes that while each shot improved his physique, the effect lessened with each dose, indicating that as his body strengthens, base mutations become harder to trigger. He reflects that in just a few minutes, he gained what takes others 3 years of work, and that's just his base physical stats without even activating his Demola's bloodline power. He smirks, thinking that perhaps he really does have a shot at being the top scorer in the exam. He resolves to depart to the Secret Realm. The narrative explains that Secret Realm rifts are ranked from S to E, with higher ranks containing stronger beasts, and that S-class realms are completely uncontrollable by humans. Their invasion would be an apocalyptic disaster. Yi arrives at the Ancheng No 3 E-level secret. He notes there are fewer people than he expected, guessing it's because the old realm has already been stripped of any treasures, leaving only weak beasts for rookie warriors to train with. He books a ticket and is told to sign a death waiver. He steps toward the shimmering blue portal, the Secret Realm Rift. He declares this is the beginning of his rise to become the king of beasts, and steps through the portal. He finds himself in a lush forest under a sky with 3 different celestial bodies: Kanglin Star, Anwei Star, and Tai Jin Star. He marvels at the magnificent sight, saying that seeing it in person is nothing like the textbooks. He senses something nearby and spots a 1st-rank beast, a Bladefang rabbit. The rabbit leaps to attack him. Yi easily dodges, telling the creature it was foolish to think he couldn't sense it, thanks to his template's life magnetic field ability. He examines the rabbit's magic core, noting its average quality and estimating its worth at around 1,000 yuan. He reflects on the efficiency of earning 1,000 yuan in just minutes when ordinary people work themselves to death for a month to make only 3,000 to 4,000. He decides collecting 1st-rank beast cores is pointless, and that he should find at least a 2nd-rank beast. As if on cue, a massive, worm-like 2nd-rank beast, a demon corpse bug, erupts from the ground before him. Yi grins, remarking to speak of the devil. He prepares for battle, knowing from the monster encyclopedia that the bug's weak point is the soft armor on its abdomen, unlike the steel-like shell on its back. He activates his martial arts, but the bug fires a projectile from its mandibles. He dodges just in time, his clothes getting torn. He curses, complaining about how expensive his outfit was. He realizes that at his current martial artist level, he can't harm the bug, as he can barely exert 50% of his strength without powerful martial techniques to support his energy and blood vitality. He blames the original body's academic failures and decides he has no choice but to cheat. He activates his Mad Demola, Emperor Demon's bloodline. His power level surges from 15 to 21. In a transformed state with glowing claws and eyes, he easily crushes the Tier 2 corpse demon bug. After deactivating his transformation, he feels his body overheating as it expels the excess energy, comparing the feeling to a jet engine. He discovers that the short sword he bought for 250,000 was corroded by the bug's venom. He complains about the scam and terrible quality control. He feels intensely hungry from the energy consumption of his first monster hunt and realizes he didn't bring any food. He then smells a fragrant aroma and finds the green-grade magic core from the demon corpse bug, which seems to be emitting the tempting smell. Deciding he doesn't care, he eats it. A system notification pops up, showing his monster template's compatibility has increased from 7% to 3%. He is amazed that a single green magic core increased his compatibility by 0.3%, when a genetic potion costing hundreds of thousands only increased it by 1%. He calculates that 3 or 4 of these cores are worth a whole potion, and that the white magic cores from the rabbits should also increase his compatibility. He feels frustrated for wasting his money on pay-to-win items. Turning his frustration into motivation, he activates his life field and vows to hunt to his heart's content. The next afternoon, his status shows his compatibility is at 9%, and his overall physique is 15.8. He notes that after reaching 9% compatibility, consuming more white magic cores won't increase it anymore, so he'll have to sell them for money instead. He lays out his haul of 20 white magic cores and 1 green magic core, ready to sell them. A merchant is shocked that a mere high school student managed to collect so many magic cores. 9 days before the college entrance exam, a team of martial artists stands before the No. 4 D-class secret realm. One of them, Captain Lin, is confident they can complete the Blood Jade Flower Bounty mission this time, as they already found its general location during their last exploration. However, another team member points out that since their companion, Old Chen, was injured by a monster, they are now 1 person short, leaving them with only 5 people, while the rules state that at least 6 are required to enter a D-class secret realm. Captain Lin reassures them, saying he contacted an agency to find them a new martial artist. A young man in a hoodie approaches them. It's he, using a fake identity as a martial disciple level 9 named Dadsla. He explains that since he's still a student and not qualified for a D-class realm, he had to use an illegal agency to create a fake identity, which cost him 100,000 credits. The captain notes that his code name feels a bit off, but Yihi brushes it aside. The captain tells Yihi that at his level, he doesn't qualify and that the team will let him observe and learn, but he must not hold them back. Yihi agrees, thinking that clarifying responsibilities beforehand is reliable and better than being screwed over mid-mission. The team gets into their vehicle, ready to find the Blood Jade Flower. They arrive in a desert-like landscape, with one member noting that the secret realms don't seem to be connected to just one world, as last time they were in a rainforest. The tracker indicates the Blood Jade Flower is in an oasis ahead, guarded by a Tier 2 monster with a general-level bloodline. Suddenly, the captain warns that they've been locked onto by Earth demon rats. He orders a man named Hood to take care of them. Hood swiftly throws a dart that multiplies and eliminates the rats. As they continue on foot, the captain distributes tasks. Zia will throw a stun grenade to lure the beast out. Old Liu will provide suppressive fire, while Zio, Wu, and Hood will set up traps. He will handle the front line and tells Yihi to just watch. The stun grenade, containing high-level monster pheromones, is thrown, tricking the beast into thinking its territory is being invaded and drawing it out. A massive Tier 2 monster, an earth dragon, emerges from the sand. The captain warns the new guy to be careful as the monster charges. A man with sunglasses and a malicious grin watches from a distance. The team defeats the earth dragon, but as Captain Lin approaches the fallen beast, another smaller creature leaps out from the carcass to attack him. Yihi springs into action, intercepting the smaller beast. He punches the ground, sending a shockwave that deals with the threat. The team is stunned by his powerful punch, amazed that a martial novice has the power to shake a Tier 2 beast. The captain thanks Yi for saving him, declaring that from now on, they are companions. The team gathers the Earth Dragon's soul essence, a red, shiny, fruit-like object. As the captain celebrates their successful hunt, a team member named Huda suddenly attacks him with a poisoned dart. The captain collapses, asking Huda what he is doing. A bald man named Huo Peng appears, and Huda's betrayal becomes clear as he was working with him to steal the loot. The other team members recognize Huo Peng as a notorious robber who preys on martial artists in dungeons. Yi figures out that Huo Peng must have embedded the location information in the dart that Huda used, allowing him to track them. Huo Peng smirks, telling Yi he's pretty smart and should head back to school for his exams instead of walking hand in hand with death. Yi retorts that the exam is coming up and he has a top scorer title waiting for him. He calls Huo Peng a disgusting, bold freak and tells him that his barking is the true arrogance. He declares it's time to take out the trash. Huo Peng, intrigued, tells Huda he wants the kid's head. Huda attacks Yi, who effortlessly dodges his strikes. A massive explosion of blue and orange energy erupts as Yi clashes with his attackers. He appears above Huda and unleashes a martial technique called Mountain Splitter. With a single powerful energy blast from his hand, he strikes Huda down. The rest of the team is shocked that he one-shotted Huda with a single move, questioning if he's really a martial novice. Huo Peng, realizing Yi has a gene technique, demands to know which great family he's from. Yi sarcastically replies that he's from the Demonra clan. Huo Peng activates his own bloodline, transforming into a massive tyrant terror black bear and warning Yi that even with gene techniques, he can't close the massive martial gap between them. He unleashes a martial technique called Peak Shaker. Yi unleashes his atomic breath, but it's not enough to even melt Huo Peng's ankle bone, showing the power of a second-tier martial artist. Yi tells him it's his turn now. He uses a core-fused mountain-crushing fist, engulfing Huo Peng in a massive vortex of blue energy. The attack leaves Huo Peng defeated and dissolving on the ground. The dying man curses Yi, calling him despicable for using a gene technique that emits toxic gas and vowing that a wicked martial artist like him will be punished. Yi scoffs, wondering who this person is to curse him when so many others already have. At the Central Sports Stadium of An City, the General Higher Martial Arts School enrollment is about to begin. The competition system is explained. Candidates compete in pairs, with the winner advancing. The exam lasts 3 days, with the first 2 being auditions, and the successful students will compete on the 3rd day until a top scorer is selected. As the examinations officially begin, various arenas show students battling fiercely. At Arena No. 6, an issue arises as one candidate, Yi, has not arrived for his match against Huang Tongtong. An official notes that if Yi doesn't show up, he will be considered to have forfeited. Huang Tongtong, the girl who had previously mocked Yi, thinks to herself that being made a fool of during the genetic conference was the biggest embarrassment of her life, and she had wanted to use her fire lizard to humiliate him. She scoffs that the scumbag actually hid and didn't dare to come out, calling him a bummer. In the crowd, people mock Yi, calling him a coward who is likely shivering in his bed at home. As the official is about to declare Yi's abandonment, a massive aura descends upon the stadium. A figure is seen descending from the sky at incredible speed, landing with a massive blast of blue energy. Huang Tongtong is shocked by the sudden appearance. Yi stands up from the crater he created, wiping sweat from his brow and remarking that it was a close call. He almost needed to come back next year. Huang Tongtong is knocked unconscious from the impact of his landing, and the announcer declares that Yi has won. The crowd erupts, stunned that he defeated his opponent with just 1 kick and marveling at his cool entrance, calling it the mythical kick that comes from the sky. Yi reflects that Captain Lin had given him the blood jade fruit as thanks, but it took some time for it to improve his physique, which is why he was late. His system now shows his overall fitness at 226 and his monster template compatibility at 20%. A tournament bracket is shown, and Yi proceeds to his next matches. In 2 subsequent fights, he wins instantly with a single kick each time. The crowd goes wild, calling him one-kick Superman for never dragging things out. Having won all 3 matches, Yi advances to the 3rd round. After the match, he is swarmed by recruiters from various universities, all trying to get him to join their school. When asked if he has a favorite university, he confidently declares that he wants to enter Huadu University. The recruiters are taken aback by his arrogance, with one telling him he'll come crawling back for help when he gets slapped in the face later. Yihi wonders if they just don't believe he can do it. He acknowledges that it's not their fault, as Huadu University is the best martial arts university in the country and one of the top 5 in the world, a holy place for all martial artists. In a second-tier city like An, only the very top students are qualified to enter. He dismisses their doubt, thinking that warriors speak with strength and that they'll see when he wins first place. He is then called in by officials to re-evaluate his martial arts level. The test reveals he is at the martial arts 9th level. An official questions him, stating that he was only at the 3rd level half a month ago and that it's impossible to improve so fast in just 3 months, implying he was cheating. The official reveals that after checking, they found he frequently went to the E-level secret realm after leaving school, and asks why he would go to such a dangerous place before the exam. Yihi explains that before his father passed away, he left him a message. To surpass humanity, one must not be a human. So he kept going to the secret realm to fight, and in one battle he broke through his own genetic lock. The officials are stunned, exclaiming that he broke through his genetic lock. While this is happening, Yihi realizes he has become an important observation target. He sees live streams interviewing the parents and friends of other examinees, with families wishing their children the best of luck. He feels a pang of loneliness, realizing he's an orphan that no one cares about or is there to cheer him on. The first match of the promotion round begins, pitting Yihi against Liu Okshuan from An City No. 3 Middle School. The crowd recognizes Liu Okshuan as the first-place student from his school, a martial arts 8th level whose parents are both warriors. Liu Okshuan, confident, asks Yihi if he knows who he is, but Yihi calmly replies that the outcome wouldn't change regardless. He tells Liu Okshuan he can have the first move. Liu Okshuan laughs, agreeing that the outcome is certain. He will definitely. He activates his bloodline and warns Yihi that if his luck isn't good, he will die here. He lunges forward, unleashing his martial art, the dashing lightning claw. Yihi stands his ground, and as Liu Okshuan's claw strikes, it shatters against an unseen force. Yihi comments that Liu Okshuan's momentum is good, but it's far from the collision force of the bald old man he fought before. He effortlessly shatters the ground with a single punch, winning the match and leaving the audience wondering if there are any decent examinees at all. Onlookers are stunned as the seeded contestant, Liu Okshuan, lies defeated in an instant, questioning how someone who looked so powerful could be on the ground so quickly. One observer notes that the victor is calm as clouds and steady as the breeze, the mark of a true master, while another remarks that his skills exist on a completely different level, the gap simply being too huge. Yihi stands calmly in the arena as a female fan declares how cool he is, and that she wants him to make her pregnant, while others in the crowd cheer wildly, calling him one-kick man, and stating that although he used his hands this time, it was still a one-hit knockout. Yihi stands over his fallen opponent as the crowd chants his name, certain he will make it to the finals. A blue-haired fighter watches from the stands, remarking that this was expected of the man he has his eye on, and vowing to defeat him in the final round. Elsewhere, in the live broadcast room of Huadu University's admissions office, an official demands all available information on Yihi within 30 minutes. The focus shifts to another arena, where the second group's advancement matches are in full swing, and a commentator expresses excitement for an upcoming battle between 2 genius beauties. Kai Shaoling, known as the Queen of Encheng's second senior high, is introduced, prompting an onlooker to tell her opponent, young Miss Liu, that he can't stand her robot-like expression. Her opponent is Liu Qingzhu, the unattainable flower of Encheng First Senior High. As the match begins, Kai Shaoling tells Liu Qingzhu that they will see how well she can maintain her act once she is pinned to the ground. Liu Qingzhu immediately unleashes the Liu family secret art, Sutra of Transient Splendor, a swirling vortex of energy. Kai Shaoling yells at her to get serious and counters with the Howling Gale Step martial skill, narrowly dodging the attack. Kai Shaoling spots what she thinks is an opening, but realizes too late that she has fallen into a trap, her hand caught in swirling air currents as Liu Qingzhu prepares to strike with her chaos finger, a Xuan Wang martial skill. Spectators are shocked that a mere college entrance exam candidate has mastered such a high-level technique, with one noting that her talent could grant her direct admission to Huadu University. Pushed into a corner, Kai Shaoling awakens her bloodline, transforming into the massive Shadow Claw Tiger King. An observer identifies the transformation as a third-tier royal bloodline, noting that such bloodlines are notoriously hard to control, which means the girl's future is limitless, while Liu Qingzhu calmly tells her opponent to show her the Nether Phoenix bloodline. Enraged, Kai Xiaoling asks if Liu Qingzhu thinks anyone below the martial artist level can challenge her now. Liu Qingzhu simply repeats that this is enough and unleashes the Liu family secret art, Transient Splendor Phantom. The blue energy phantom swirls around her as Kai Xiaoling attacks with the fierce tiger's crippling kick. Liu Qingzhu meets the assault with her primordial chaos jade finger. The two martial energies collide with tremendous force, creating a massive cloud of dust that engulfs the entire arena, leaving the crowd to wonder who could have emerged victorious. As the dust settles, a figure is seen standing, and a spectator identifies it as Kai Xiaoling. However, just as victory seems hers, she collapses from exhaustion, revealing Liu Qingzhu standing unharmed behind her. Liu Qingzhu is declared the winner, having completely overwhelmed an opponent with an awakened royal bloodline using nothing but martial techniques, earning her the title of a once-in-a-century genius. The crowd goes wild, calling her legendary and the city's top scorer, as someone reveals her bloodline is a fourth-tier Nether Phoenix. The scene shifts to the top 8 advancement tournament draw ceremony, where the next person to draw is Ansheng First Senior High's Yihe. Shen Guan from Qingfeng Private High introduces himself, noting that since they are both in Group A, they will face each other. Shen Guan suggests they watch the first match first, which pits Liu Ozai against Chu Zhu. An observer comments that while Liu Ozai is strong, he didn't stand a chance against Chu Zhu. Yihe asks who Chu Zhu is, and Shen Guan is surprised he doesn't know his own schoolmate, as Chu Zhu is declared the winner. The principal of Qingfeng Private High looks on in frustration at the early loss. The principal then asks Shen Guan how he compares to Liu Ozai. Shen Guan boasts that he is the martial arts club president, and that his 2 other teammates combined couldn't defeat him. He tells Yihe that his senses have always been sharp, and he can tell Yihe is like a dormant volcano, the only real threat in the exams. Shen Guan says it is now their turn to fight. In the arena, the second match of the tournament is announced. Shen Guan of Qingfeng Private High versus Yihe of Ansheng First Senior High. The competition to advance from the top 8 to the top 4 is now in full swing. The fight begins, with commentators observing that both sides are equally strong. Suddenly, Shen Guan gets a nosebleed, asking Yihe if this is an ability of his bloodline. It's explained that Yihe's mysterious power directly targets cells for destruction, forcing Shen Guan to create a martial energy barrier to shield himself from the nuclear radiation. Yihe watches, thinking to himself that Shen Guan is a monster and his martial art is amazing. Shen Guan declares that he will now show the martial arts of the Shen family and unleashes the Shape-Will Fist, a powerful blow that sends Yi staggering back. It's the first time the one-kick Superman has ever been hit. Yi coughs up blood from the powerful impact, sliding across the arena floor from the force of the blow. Shen Guan yells that Yi can't run and follows up with a bear crash attack. His attack wasn't merely physical, as he integrated his martial energy into his body to cause double the damage. Thinking his past opponents were all weak chickens, Shen Guan continues his relentless assault with an ape hurl, telling Yihe that not only can he inject martial energy into his body, but he can also lock his opponent's martial energy, rendering them incapable of using their own martial arts, as he demonstrates with a tiger pounce. He follows this with an eagle dive, screaming that Yi cannot win against him. He lands a powerful finishing blow, laughing with satisfaction. The announcer states that Shen Guan's series of moves left Yihe with no chance to fight back, and that the on-site medical staff were prepared to intervene as the combo would have killed an ordinary martial artist. Just as the winner from Qingfeng High School is about to be declared, Yihe stirs, a massive amount of aura erupting from him. He tells Shen Guan that he is indeed very strong as he begins to transform, awakening his bloodline. Savage Trace Dimora. Yihe tells Shen Guan that it's a consolation that he is the first person to witness this form. Observers are stunned, noting that a high school student displaying a magical beast embodiment can enter Huadu University without an exam. Shen Guan stares in disbelief at the magical beast embodiment, as spectators realize there is another genius in Ansheng besides Liu Qingzhu. Yihe, now fully transformed, comments on the overwhelming level of his bloodline awakening. In the control room, a monitor shows Yihe's nuclear radiation value skyrocketing to 999. The examiners are alarmed by the off-the-charts reading and wrap the arena in martial energy to prevent any leakage, while students in the audience wonder about this unknown but powerful monster. It seems no one knows about the creature known as Dimora on Blue Star. Faced with this overwhelming power, Shen Guan awakens his own bloodline, transforming into the Golden Star Ape Demon, another third-order king bloodline. The two titans clash, with Shen Guan using his form will fist snake strike. Against Yihe's martial art mountain arresting fist, the collision of their power is immense, and Shen Guan's arm is shattered by the force. Realizing the mistake he made, Yihe calmly states that Shen Guan is outstanding, but unfortunately this cannot change the outcome. Commentators note the appearance of both a third-order king bloodline and a rare, unknown magical beast bloodline in the same match. Shen Guan realizes his strength is unfathomable, and he can no longer suppress Yihe's martial energy, deciding he can only retreat to advance. He tells the big man not to be distracted, and uses his form will fist snake strike to reposition himself, aiming to get behind his opponent. The snake-like energy whips around Yihe. Suddenly, a massive blast of energy erupts from Yihe's mouth, completely overwhelming Shen Guan's attack. As the energy dissipates, Yihe tells his opponent that it is his turn now. Seeing the overwhelming display of power, Shen Guan raises his hands and declares that he surrenders. Yihe, who had been preparing his energy, is visibly annoyed, complaining that he was all riled up and now feels uncomfortable holding back his power. Sighing, he accepts the surrender, noting that the rules prevent him from attacking further. The crowd erupts in cheers, yelling that Brother Yi is awesome. Videos of the fight spread online, with fans creating groups and celebrating his victory. Back at Qingfeng Private High, the school leadership is furious with Shen Guan, asking if he knows how much money was spent on his training, only for him to admit defeat. Shen Guan retorts that he couldn't take that punch and surrendered to avoid injury, asking if the principal would have taken it for him. He states that he will repay the school's kindness in the future, but warns them that they cannot threaten a warrior who is stronger than them. The top 4 finalists of the college entrance examination are announced: Yihe, Liu Qingzhu, Chu Zhu, and one other. At the draw ceremony for the semi-finals, Yihe once again draws the first match, and his opponent is revealed to be Liu Qingzhu. The audience buzzes with excitement for the internal battle between An City's one middle school's strongest contenders. Fans debate the outcome, with some feeling Goddess Liu has a better chance due to her mastery of 2 mysterious royal martial arts and her unrevealed 4th-level Netherbird bloodline, while others counter that Yi forced Shen Guan, who also had a king bloodline, to awaken his own powerful form. In the semi-finals venue, the match between Yihe and Liu Qingzhu begins. As soon as the fight starts, Yihe releases a large amount of steam that covers the entire arena. He thinks to himself that against a martial arts genius with high combat IQ like her, he must go all out from the start. He shouts that he is using his mountain-arresting fist and charges forward. Liu Qingzhu prepares to counter, but realizes he cheated her. He yelled about using his fists, but attacked with his steel whip instead. The crowd shouts that he has no moral ethics, though one person remarks that all is fair in war. Yihe's pursuit is too fierce, giving Liu Qingzhu no chance to escape. She manages to use her martial energy to shake him off, but he tells her she isn't getting away so easily, and attacks with claws filled with martial energy. He unleashes a relentless barrage of high-intensity attacks, causing Liu Qingzhu to marvel at his great physical strength. She knows she has mastered 2 mysterious royal martial arts, the defensive floating shadow and the offensive Hunyuan jade finger, but realizes Yihe is not giving her any chance to use them. Knowing she can't hold on for much longer, she decides she has no choice but to use her final trump card. She awakens her bloodline, the Nether Bird. Purple feathers manifest around her as she fully awakens her magical beast bloodline for the first time. She warns classmate Yihe to be careful, as she cannot control her strength in this form. He replies that it's good she said that, because he has only been using 50% of his strength until now and can finally give it his all. She appears behind him to strike with the mysterious royal martial art, Hunyuan Jade Finger, but he meets her attack with a devastating atomic blast fist. The resulting explosion is massive, sending a powerful shockwave through the arena. Liu Qingzhu is thrown back by the force of the blast, landing hard as Yi stands amidst the crackling energy. Liu Qingzhu senses a dangerous fluctuation in energy from Yihe, realizing with dread that his magical beast's true form is gathering even more power. The protruding spine on his back glows as it stores huge energy, which is then transmitted to his mouth. He unleashes his ultimate attack, the atomic breath beam. Facing the immense beam of energy, Liu Qingzhu awakens a latent ability. Feather deflection. Her feathers form a shield that reflects the entirety of Yihee's breath, attack back at the arena. The deflected beams cause widespread destruction, forcing An City's mayor, Huang Qing, to appear and personally create a shield to protect the audience. After the explosion, Liu Qingzhu stands wounded, her wings tattered, shocked that he defeated her nether bird's defense with just one strike. She begins to doubt herself, questioning if she can really beat him. The immense pressure from her family to revive their name and her mother's relentless training weigh heavily on her 452, 453, 454. She feels exhausted and suffocated, thinking that it's only natural she can't win against such a powerful opponent. Seeing her despair, Yihee stops, showing a deliberate flaw in his stance, and asks where her fighting spirit has gone, telling her to defeat him quickly. She looks up confused, asking why he didn't dodge her attack. He asks if she has even truly looked him in the face. Her despair turns to fury, and she screams that she is going to win this title fairly and squarely. Yihee tells her that she had better start facing him seriously. He attacks her relentlessly, repeatedly asking if she wants to get serious yet. She protests that he is a bad person, and no one has ever hit her like that. But he retorts that he was trying to hand her the victory, but she kept pursuing the fight. He grins, telling her that's more like it, and if she doesn't want to be hit, she should get serious. He grins, telling her that's more like it, and if she doesn't want to be hit, she should get serious. Pushed to her limit, she activates a taboo martial art, blood ignition. She tells classmate Yihee that, as he wished, she will defeat him with her strongest form. She tells classmate Yihee that, as he wished, she will defeat him with her strongest form. Yihee commented that his opponent, Liu Qingzhu, had finally revealed the true form of her magical beast, and that things were getting interesting. Realizing he could no longer be negligent, he powered up, engulfing himself in a brilliant blue aura. He activated his nuclear light combat body, a physical skill combining the Demura template with hard Qigong, and declared his intent for a good fight. Liu Qingzhu unleashed a tearing hurricane, a vortex of violent purple energy, which clashed against Yihee's explosive fist. The resulting explosion of blue and purple energy rocked the entire arena. Liu Qingzhu, deciding to go all out, prepared to release her family's strongest move by giving up her defense. She activated her bloodline ability, summoning massive netherworld blood thorns from the ground. Yihee countered with his own atomic breath, and the two powerful impacts collided, creating a massive, uncontrolled energy sphere. A man in a suit, identified as the mayor, watched with concern, remarking that the collision of power was not something the two warriors could control. He quickly used a gene technique, creating a divine ley line wall to contain the blast. The impact was immense, but the wall held, protecting the spectators from the fallout. The mayor noted that his 3 ley line walls were prepared too hastily and weren't as solid as usual, while onlookers expressed their fear and relief that he had intervened. In the aftermath, Liu Qingzhu was on her knees, exhausted, the power of her magical beast's true body depleted, though she resolved that she could still fight. Yihee stood over her, unharmed, and pointed out that his moves had clearly hit her. Yihee stood over her, unharmed, and pointed out that his moves had clearly hit her. Crying, she asked why he insisted on forcing her to fight when she didn't want to. He knelt down and questioned if she truly didn't want to fight, or if she was just being rebellious and unwilling to admit her competitive spirit, adding that he could feel her desire for victory when she was fighting so hard. She admitted to herself that he was right. She had been thinking about defeating him and had used all her strength, feeling the exhilaration of fighting for herself. Yihee told her she had too many distracting thoughts while fighting, and that was why she lost. As he spoke, the radiation injuries on his arm healed instantly. He walked away, telling her that she was still the strongest opponent he had ever met, and that he hoped for a pure battle with her next time, leaving Liu Qingzhu blushing and calling him classmate Yihee. With the smoke cleared, Yihee was declared the winner of the first semi-finals match. The final match of the An City College entrance examination was set to begin between the Dark Horse, Yihee, and the Apex, Chu Zhu, both from the same middle school. The finals began with nearly 500 million livestream viewers watching. Chu Zhu immediately attacked with his 7-star explosive fist. Chu Zhu admitted to himself that he couldn't fight Yihee head-on, even with his defensive ability, as he had simply used a crude move to attack all of his clones at once. Wondering if any warrior his age could match Yihee in hand-to-hand combat, he decided to exhaust his opponent from a distance. He activated his bloodline awakening, summoning a massive ice elemental dragon. Using his icy pulse ability, he created a massive iceberg out of thin air, trapping Yihee inside. Chu Zhu looked on, noting that the sudden burst of icy force took a toll on his body. However, the iceberg began to crack and melt as Yi easily broke out, shocking Chu Zhu with his power. Yi appeared, completely unharmed and surrounded by a blue aura, stating that his opponent's ice dragon power had never worked on him, and that the gap in their strength was too big. Chu Zhu, refusing to give up, decided to use his last move, powerful sword intent. Chu Zhu, refusing to give up, decided to use his last move, powerful sword intent. Yi told him that he might have a chance in the future if he got a better sword. Fought and shattered, leaving Chu Zhu's own sword to bleed and crack. Yi told him that he might have a chance in the future if he got a better sword. Fought and shattered, leaving Chu Zhu's own sword to bleed and crack. Defeated, Chu Zhu raised his hand and surrendered. Defeated, Chu Zhu raised his hand and surrendered. Yi was declared the final winner of the An City College entrance examination. The crowd and online viewers erupted in cheers, celebrating the dark horse who had risen from the bottom of the class to become the top scorer. During a post-match interview, the reporter praised his accumulated strength, which he privately acknowledged was a subtle way of describing his cheating. Publicly, he thanked his teacher, who was moved to tears, feeling guilty for not noticing his potential sooner. Yi then thanked his headmaster, who promptly offered him a 2 million scholarship on the spot. Finally, Yi thanked himself, noting that without his personal hard work and wisdom, he wouldn't be so successful. A system notification appeared, congratulating him for winning the title of #1 scholar and rewarding him with a random template ability, which made him realize the template had an achievement system. After escaping a crowd of reporters, he reflected on his winnings and the fact he could now draw a new template. He was approached by a man who introduced himself as being from Huadu, not a reporter. The man wanted to talk about the issue of genetic locks. Yi was surprised, as he hadn't opened any genetic locks, and all his abilities came from the monster template. The man from Huadu asked if he had heard the term from his father, which Yi's memories confirmed. The man questioned how an ordinary taxi driver like his father would know a term so inconsistent with his profession, hinting at a big secret. He presented Yi with a secret document from Huadu, revealing information about Prometheus, a once giant research institute in biological genes that was blocked by various countries, forcing its researchers into hiding. The man explained that genetic lock technology was a key project of Prometheus, and suggested that Yi's father was a senior researcher, and Yi himself was a secret research result. The man assured him the country would not make things difficult, and that he was just informing him of the situation, promising to protect him as a key prospect. The man assured him the country would not make things difficult, and that he was just informing him of the situation, promising to protect him as a key prospect. He celebrated his earnings and his ticket to Huadu University, but was most excited to draw his new template ability. The system activated, and a swirling purple vortex appeared before him. He was granted a D-rank template for a super-giant humanoid, with abilities of giantification and ultra-heated steam. He wondered what would happen if he superimposed this new template with his existing Dimora template, envisioning himself as the true king of monsters. Elsewhere, a muscular man named Huo Long was informed that his younger brother's body was not found in the secret realm, but traces of nuclear radiation were detected where his signal was last seen. Huo Long lamented that his brother didn't listen to his advice to stay away from society, remembering his mother's wish for him to take care of him. Seeing a news report about Yi, the winner of the An City Finals, he recognized that this rare genius would be sought after by Huadu University. He grimly stated that it was too bad they wouldn't be able to witness his enrollment. The letter proposed they team up to investigate a new C-rank secret realm crack, opening in An City's Redwood Mountain that afternoon. The letter proposed they team up to investigate a new C-rank secret realm crack, opening in An City's Redwood Mountain that afternoon. Yi found the use of a letter amusing in the modern era, wondering if Chu Zhu was also a time traveler, before heading to the location. At Redwood Mountain, a crowd of at least 1,000 people had gathered for the new secret realm. Yi met up with Chu Zhu, who noted that Yi had become stronger again. Yi observed that Chu Zhu's mood seemed a little off, just as the secret realm began to open, tearing a purple, crackling hole in reality. Creatures began to emerge from the rift. As soon as the realm opened, warriors charged forward, eager to kill the monsters and claim their treasures. A small, terrified creature lamented the ferocity of the warriors before being squashed by the stampede. It was a beast tide, and the warriors were met with a wave of monsters that had been waiting for them. In accordance with national laws, All warriors prioritized fighting the beast tide. Yihi unleashed a powerful bloodline ability, an atomic explosive fist that wiped out a large group of monsters instantly. He saved another warrior from an attack, who thanked him gratefully. Chuju was stunned to see how many monsters Yihi had already slain. Their flesh and blood melted away by what he assumed was large-scale nuclear radiation. Other warriors nearby were shocked at how quickly the fight ended, learning that the top scorer from the college entrance exam was among them. They decided to drive the remaining monsters towards the #1 scorer. Soon after, a signal came from the front that the leader of the beast tide was defeated, and the creatures began to retreat. The remaining warriors, numbering about 800 from the original 1,000, assessed their losses. Chuju, amazed at the number of monster cores he had collected, offered him his storage ring to carry them all. Wu Sen, the leader of the Silver Wolf martial arts group, approached Yihi, praising his heroic performance and offering him an S-level membership contract to join his group. Immediately, another person interjected, offering Yihi a place in the Chengda martial arts group with a guaranteed 15% of the group's monthly training resources. Yihi politely declined both offers, stating he had no plans to join a martial arts group for now. Wu Sen accepted his decision gracefully, telling him to contact them anytime in the future, and they exchanged friendly handshakes. After repelling the beast tide, they were free to explore the giant forest of the secret realm, deciding to get to a high vantage point to plan their next move. Chuju looked up at a colossal, 1,000-meter-tall creature in the distance, but Yihi was unfazed, confident that they would one day conquer such beasts. Chuju admitted that he was not as good as Yihi, not just in martial arts, but in willpower. Using his life magnetic field, Yihi detected a strange vacuum zone in the southeast, an amber-like area completely empty of life, and decided it was worth investigating. He and Chuju leaped through the forest towards a lake in that direction. Arriving at the lake, they encountered a group of warriors, one of whom, a woman named Yuli, recognized Yihi as the city's top scorer. Her companions were impressed, recalling his performance against the beast tide. Yuli explained that they had just arrived, and 2 of their teammates had gone into the lake to explore. Just then, the 2 teammates burst from the water, excitedly shouting that they had found a relic at the bottom and were going to be rich. Chuju explained to Yihi that relics are mysterious buildings from a past civilization within secret realms, and are the theoretical basis for modern martial arts and genetic technologies. As they celebrated, 2 other figures, Yu Yang and a companion, emerged from the water, demanding to know who Yihi and Chuju were and why they were eavesdropping. The group leader, after being informed of their identities, decided to let them join the exploration temporarily, though he warned them not to get any ideas. The group dove into the lake and entered an underground cave. Inside, they found their scout, Lai Wai, was missing. They confirmed that no monsters had appeared despite using bait, yet the place felt dangerous, and Lai Wai's disappearance was unsettling. The leader insisted they continue, declaring that those who want to get rich must stay. As they proceeded, Yihi and Chuju communicated silently, noting that the group's story about just arriving didn't add up with how quickly they found the hidden ruins, as if they had a map. They suspected a trick and decided to stay alert, as Yi had a trump card. The cavern opened into a large area filled with desiccated monster cores and strange green vines covering skeletons. They then found Lai Wai's body, horribly twisted and dead. Yu Yang began to lose his mind, screaming about the vines as they writhed around him. The vines shot out, killing another team member instantly. Chuju recognized the monster as a 2nd-level king-class ghost demon vine, a species far beyond what 1st-level warriors could handle. Suddenly, the vines converged on a figure, who declared that he was here to kill Yihi. A powerful warrior, emanating a red kai and blood smoke characteristic of an 8th-level warrior, appeared before them. A muscular man radiating red energy confronts Yihi in a desolate, snowy landscape. The man explains that he tracked Yihi by the nuclear radiation he used to fight a beast tide, following the trail to a cave. He marvels that Yihi was able to force the Huo family into such a desperate situation, even managing to hide by stopping his own heartbeat, though he was still detected. Yihi, looking genuinely confused, asks the man who he is, stating that they don't know each other and questioning why he suddenly appeared to monologue at him. Enraged, the man tells him to stop pretending and lunges forward, unleashing a torrent of green, vine-like energy. The man quickly realizes his mistake, as the energy belongs to a ghost demon vine whose lair he has been lured into. Trapped by the glowing green tendrils, he screams at Yi, accusing him of planning this ambush. Yi, unfazed, comments on the man's excessive drama and reiterates that they have never met. The muscular man struggles against the massive, glowing monster, realizing that the vine absorbs martial energy and releases neurotoxins, a combination that will surely lead to his defeat. He curses Yi, shouting that he is his true target, not the monster. From a safe distance, a girl with dark hair worries that the cave is about to collapse from the fight. Yi tells her to get out of the way before unleashing a massive wave of blue electrical energy from his body. The blast of blue energy explodes outwards, swirling into a powerful vortex that tears through the cave's ceiling, sending rocks flying as water pours in. Now on the surface of a newly formed lake, Yi stands with the girl, whom he calls Sister Yuli, and tells her and their companions to leave first. The muscular man bursts from the water in a blaze of fire, vowing that they won't escape. A new ally, Chu appears, unleashing a soul-damaging sword intent, a powerful blast of icy energy, and declaring that the man will not lay a hand on Yi while he is there. The muscular man scoffs at the attack, revealing he is an 8th-level warrior and questioning if such a weak assault could possibly harm him. As he boasts, Yi appears behind him, crackling with blue lightning, calling him a chatterbox, and asking where he's looking before striking with an atomic explosive fist. The blue energy attack slams into the man. Chu warns Yi to leave, stating that their opponent is a high-level warrior and will be difficult for Yi to handle in his current state. Another warrior appears, telling his comrade to leave the muscular man to him. As the ghost demon vine below goes berserk, churning the entire lake, Chu emerges from the turbulent water with Sister Yuli, searching for Yi. Suddenly, a colossal explosion of blue and purple energy erupts from the depths, shooting a pillar of light high into the sky. A monstrous, shadowy figure crackling with purple lightning leaps from the water, shocking Chu. After the giant figure lands, a normal-sized and naked Yi emerges, calling out to Chu and asking to borrow some clothes. Later on the shore, Chu tells a curious Sister Yuli that the mysterious warrior used a plasma bomb to take out the ghost demon vine. Yuli finds this suspect, noting the bomb's power and the giant figure she thought she saw in the smoke. Yi quickly dismisses her observation, inwardly relieved that his monster template ability remains a secret. He reflects on crushing the warrior to ash but managing to secure the vine's magic core. Yuli offers to compensate him for his help, but he politely declines, considering it repayment for a past favor. 3 days later, at the entrance to the Redwood Mountain secret realm, 2 figures are seen clashing within a dark void. Elsewhere, a young man is stunned to see a bustling, futuristic city has materialized in just a few days, complete with transport planes, a testament to the terrifying efficiency of Zia country. At an appraisal center, Yi dumps several large sacks of monster parts onto a counter, much to the staff's chagrin. He apologizes for his haste, explaining the sheer volume of his haul requires a quick appraisal. After he empties the final sack, the overwhelmed female appraiser nervously asks if he is finally done. Yi confirms he is, but urges her to hurry with the calculations, as he still has a large amount of spiritual medicine to bring out. The appraisers are astounded by the quality and quantity of his items, including a 300-year-old 7-star leaf and a Liu flower, estimating the total value at over 30 million yuan. Yi muses on his gains, particularly the high-level monster cores, deciding to sell the lower-quality ones for cash. A bank notification confirms a deposit of over 27 million yuan. Just as he decides to find a buyer for his spiritual medicines, a man named Lai Yushin, the boss of Ping Pharmacy, approaches him. Lai Yushin offers to buy all of his spiritual medicines at a price above the market rate. Yi figures his information was leaked by the appraisal center, but accepts the convenient offer. After the sale, which nets him another 74 million yuan, Yi reflects that money is secondary to personal strength. His template's picky appetite requires high-end materials he can't afford, leading him to a realization. He needs to learn powerful martial arts. He decides that while his template grants him power, true mastery requires martial skill. He rushes to his old school and city's one middle school, and enters the principal's office. He warmly greets the principal, who is overjoyed to see the city's top scorer. Yi respectfully presents him with a gift of medicinal wine, before asking if the principal has any connections to help him learn powerful martial arts. The principal is taken aback by his impatience, suggesting he wait until he starts at Huado University, but Yihee's insistence convinces him. The principal agrees to help, earning Yihee's praise for his flexible approach to education. The next day, Yihee receives a call from the principal, who has arranged for him to learn from a martial arts family. Yihee is stunned to learn it is the prestigious Liu family of An City. On his way to the Liu family estate, Yihee, riding a shared bicycle, is nearly run off the road by a flashy motorcyclist named Brother Jai. Yihee calmly advises the man to drive more carefully, which infuriates Brother Jai, who mocks him for daring to compete with a mere bicycle. Brother Jai scoffs that Yihee is not worthy to be on the same road as him. But Yihee's bicycle suddenly erupts in blue energy. He effortlessly overtakes the motorcycle in a blur of light, bidding a casual farewell. The motorcyclist and his passenger are left in stunned disbelief at the speed of the shared bike. Yihee arrives at a magnificent estate, the home of the Liu family, and senses several powerful individuals within. He is greeted at the entrance by a familiar face, Liu Qingzhu. After an awkward exchange where she denies being either happy or unhappy to see him, she explains her mother sent her and leads him inside. In a grand hall, Qingzhu announces his arrival to her mother. The head of the Liu family, a stunning woman with white hair named Qin Lan, welcomes him. Yihee is immediately flustered by her beauty, comically comparing himself to the historical figure Cao Cao. In a brief flashback, Qin Lan is seen reassuring her daughter Qingzhu after her defeat at Yihee's hands, praising his strength and telling her not to blame herself. Qin Lan explains to Qingzhu that she is the only hope for the family's future, as their lack of a powerful male figure has left them vulnerable. She proposes a strategic pairing between Qingzhu and Yihee, whom she sees as a talented individual with a bright future and no dangerous ambitions, telling her daughter to simply get to know him first. Back in the present, Yihee offers a gift to Qin Lan, who he calls Auntie. She gets straight to the point, confirming she heard he wants to learn advanced martial arts, and surprises Yihee by readily agreeing. She explains that Qingzhu will guide him to their family's martial arts pavilion, where he will have one day to learn from 3 powerful Xuanwu martial arts. Yihee thanks the Liu family as a whole, a choice of words Qin Lan interprets as a promise she intends to see fulfilled. As they walk, Yihee notices Qingzhu seems to be avoiding his gaze. She denies it, and he teases her by getting extremely close to her face, causing her to panic and push him away. They arrive before a massive stone door, which Qingzhu explains is made from a special material that can absorb the attacks of a Xuanwu master. When she asks if he wants to punch it, he agrees. Yihee's glowing blue fist strikes the door, a sight that brings back unpleasant memories for Qingzhu. But the door absorbs the blow without a scratch. Yihee is amazed that 90% of his power was nullified. They enter a vast library, and he immediately asks about the Xuanwang martial arts. Qingzhu leads him to a heavily secured room, warning him that comprehending such an art in a single day is impossible, and offers to find him something more suitable. Yihee dismisses her concerns, insisting he must learn the strongest art available. The door to the secret room is made of an extremely rare black power stone, collected by the Liu family over generations. Inside, on a pedestal, is a stone slab inscribed with the name, the devil in the flesh. Qingzhu explains that the martial art itself chooses the practitioner through a martial rhyme embedded within the object. A wild grin spreads across Yihee's face as he declares himself the chosen one for this specific art. Instead of a book, a grotesque statue rises from the pedestal. Yihee is confused, wondering how a statue can be a martial art. From an observation room, Qingzhu explains that martial masters can imbue objects with their rhyme to pass on their teachings. When Yi asks how to learn from it, she simply tells him to sense the rhyme and that fate will guide him. Taking her words literally, Yi decides to take a nap on the floor. His consciousness is pulled into a spiritual world where his powers are nullified. A system message informs him that his spiritual body will be blessed to prevent his sudden death. He is then confronted by a massive demonic being identical to the statue, who declares that only a real man of iron can inherit his art and presence a trial. Yihee must guard a broken temple from hundreds of ghosts during a thunderstorm. As rain begins to fall, Yihee sees the trial is about to begin. Armed with a rusty sword, he finds himself swarmed by a horde of red, shadowy ghosts. The demonic figure watches from afar, certain this new challenger is a fool courting death. To his astonishment, the ghosts are unable to even touch Yihee. Yihee realizes with a laugh that the system has made him immune to all attacks in this world. The demonic figure is stunned by his immunity. Having passed the trial, Yihee is presented with the inheritance, a well containing the condensed essence of evil spirits and the devil in the flesh technique itself. The spirit explains his tragic history, how the evil he suppressed in his own body backfired in his old age, forcing him to end his own life and seal his power and soul within the statue. Back in the real world, Kingju and Qin Lan watch in horror as Yihee's body convulses violently, surrounded by a malevolent red aura. Qin Lan recalls that even her grandfather, a grandmaster, was injured attempting to learn this art. She muses that one must be able to bear the weight of the crown they wish to wear. Just as suddenly, Yihee's ordeal ends. He awakens, having successfully cheated his way through the trial and mastered the Xuan Wang art, doubling his combat power. He confirms to the astonished Qin Lan and Kingju that he has learned the technique in just 1 hour. To prove it, he summons a shadowy evil spirit, explaining it's an enchantment he can apply to his energy. Deeply impressed, Qin Lan steps close to him, her eyes shining with admiration. Kingju suggests he use the rest of his day to learn the other 2 arts. Yihee declines, stating he has enough to work on for now and prepares to leave. Qin Lan offers him a car, but remembering the motorcycle from earlier, he asks for one of those instead. Meanwhile, Qin Lan's son, Brother Jai, learns that his mother has invited a potential live-in son-in-law to the house and fumes with indignation. As he complains about the annoying guy on the shared bike, he sees Yihee ride past on his own prized motorcycle, leaving him speechless with rage and disbelief. Later, Yihee prepares to consume more monster cores to increase his power. After absorbing one, his system panel shows an increase in his attributes and available points, which he immediately allocates to his super giant humanoid template to make it larger. As he consumes the golden demon vine core, a system notification informs him that his Dimora template is undergoing a special mutation, and asks if he wishes to prevent it. Understanding the risks and rewards, he decides to gamble on a positive evolution. The system announces he has unlocked the S-rank nuclear template, sending a painful surge of energy through his body. It further reveals a 2% chance for his template to evolve into the Star Universe Dimora upon reaching 100% compatibility. Excited by the powerful-sounding name, Yihee is determined to upgrade it quickly, but his thoughts are interrupted by a loud bang from outside. He looks out his window, wondering if it was a terrorist attack. Police forces seal off all exits in the park, determined not to let their targets escape, ordering a thorough search of every corner. Inside a nearby apartment, a young man named Yihee is startled by a knock at the door, finding it strange since his reclusive nature means he never has visitors or deliveries. He looks towards his window where a woman in futuristic white armor, Yahello, is perched, and she asks if he knows who she is. She explains that she originally just wanted to hide something in his apartment and conveniently alter his memory, but since he found out, she has no choice but to make him suffer a bit. Yihee calmly replies that she's mistaken, because he's already dead. Suddenly, armored soldiers crash through the window, and one tells Yahello to take the golden gene and escape. Zhuyi screams for them to bring it on, declaring that he will draw the enemy's fire, as trading his life for theirs is more than worth it. He unleashes a blood-burning, forbidden technique, erupting in a massive torrent of red and blue energy that decimates his opponents. He is shocked to see that there are still enemies standing. Another man observes Yahello's nano-battle suit, noting that it was originally white, but is now as black as charcoal, and he angrily asks why she is still there when he risked his life to let her escape with the item. Zhuyi tells Yahello that he has hidden the item and that they must retreat first. They manage to escape the pursuing authorities, finally losing the cops in the back alleys of the city. Hiding out in Yihee's apartment, Yahello inspects her suit, noting that as expected from nano armor, it has already repaired itself after the impact. Yihee confronts her, demanding to know why she broke into his house. He smirks, telling her that she should have realized a very serious problem by now. They intended to randomly pick a lucky neighbor's house to hide in, but they ended up choosing him, the big boss. The intruders are shocked, and one of them demands to know how he found them. The narration explains that Yihee can sense the nuclear radiation on Yahello's body, and he tells them to stop talking if they can fight. He decides it's the perfect time to test the strength of his flesh-bound demon technique on them. The battle erupts in a blinding clash of red and blue energy as they exchange powerful blows. Yahello is stunned by his incredible martial arts skills and asks which master he learned from. The male intruder announces he is a disciple of Emperor Guangla, though Yihee has never heard of him, and he expresses surprise at finding such a hidden master in the small city of Ancheng. He warns the kid not to get too cocky before undergoing a monstrous transformation. His body contorts and expands, covered in sharp, teal-glowing armor as he transforms into a demonic beast. He declares that, as a dignified sixth-tier martial artist, he is not someone a mere martial apprentice like him can handle. He just smiles, saying that's more like it. Suddenly, Yao Yaimai appears behind him, revealing that her nano-battle suit also has stealth capabilities, and she is the true attacker. She lunges with an energy blade, yelling for him to stay out of her way. The transformed man intercepts the attack, cursing Yao Yaimai as a useless fool for failing even at an ambush. He proclaims that he'll have to handle it himself. Yihi watches him, saying, "Here we go." The demonic beast powers up, causing Yihi to note that its defense power has increased significantly. The beast boasts that its true form, the iron-crowned rhinoceros, can effortlessly withstand even a tank barrage, and asks what Yihi has that could possibly break through, noting that both its defense and attack power have surged. In response, Yihi unleashes a massive wave of energy, screaming for his opponent to go to hell. The resulting explosion destroys the top floors of the apartment building. The beast, Zhuyi, stands amidst the rubble, wondering where his opponent went. A colossal blue dragon-like creature materializes in the sky behind him, causing him to cry out in shock. He stares in terror, wondering if the little brat transformed into this demonic beast. The massive blue creature roars and attacks, its power immense. A system notification appears, identifying the host, Yihi, as being in an ultra-gigantic anthropomorphic form with overall physical stats ranging from 23.8 to 294. Watching from the ground, Yao Yaimai is filled with regret, calling herself an idiot for ever provoking such a monster. She realizes Zhuyi will be beaten to death if this continues and that she can't escape, so she must fight to the death. She pulls a shimmering molecular line from her nano armor, a weapon strong enough to cut through high-grade alloys. She declares that even though he has become a giant through some genetic technique, he still has human weaknesses. She launches herself at the giant's neck, slicing deep with the molecular line. She wonders if she succeeded, but her hope turns to horror as a massive energy blast erupts from the wound, and she sees the monster is still very much alive. The last image in her memory is an endless, brilliant blue light, as she is consumed by the energy. Yihi, now back in his human form, stands over the defeated and bleeding Zhuyi, telling him it's his turn. Zhuyi calls him a monster, but Yi simply states that it's only fair that those who kill should be prepared to be killed. Dying, Zhuyi laughs, saying since he's going to die anyway, he'll drag Yi down with him. He reveals that Yao Yaimai, the woman Yi just killed, hid something in his room called the Golden Gene, and now that it's his, he will be hunted endlessly. Yi swiftly ends him, annoyed that he talks too much. Realizing the police are coming, he knows he needs to deal with the body fast, thinking he might have gone too far this time. Back in his wrecked apartment, he messages someone named Aunt Kin, checking on how the police questioning went. She tells him it's fine, but advises him to lay low until Kyuado University starts, to which he replies that he is the most well-behaved person ever. He muses that it was a good thing he gave Aunt Kin a heads up. Otherwise, his signature-level nuclear blast would have surely drawn the police's attention to him. He finds the device containing the Golden Gene those two were talking about. He recognizes the symbol on it as the logo of Laser Bird, a biotech giant, which he had seen before in a Prometheus file given to him by someone from Huadu. He correctly deduces that the two stole the item from Laser Bird and were hunted down during their escape. And now the entire mess has been dumped on him. Seeing the massive hole in his apartment wall, he decides it's time to move and plans to crash at a hotel to figure things out. The scene shifts to the B-class secret realm in the inner region of Swan Lake, where adventurers are suddenly caught in a massive eruption of dark red energy that tears through the landscape. A colossal fifth-tier sovereign-class beast, a blood-eyed sin wolf, emerges, leading a terrifying beast tide. The defenders panic, shouting to notify the military and realizing that City won't survive this without the immediate deployment of grandmasters and senior grandmasters. The beast tide, led by the sovereign-class monster, charges forward at full speed. An urgent message reports a sovereign-class beast has appeared at Swan Lake and the beast tide is spreading. But the call for reinforcements is cut short by a gruesome slash. A state of emergency is declared in City as the massive beast tide approaches, with an estimated time of arrival of 20 minutes. Military forces are deployed as a call goes out for all martial artists in the city to aid in the defense. At the mayor's office, he learns that beast tide warnings are coming in nationwide, and every city is overwhelmed, meaning no reinforcements are coming. Even the powerful city of Huadu cannot send a grandmaster, as they are dealing with an S-class realm outbreak of their own. The mayor grimly concludes that the battle for an city has begun, and they must rely on themselves. Elsewhere, two young men are sparring when an evacuation alert is broadcast, prioritizing in city university prep students. One of them, Chu-sensei, asks his friend if he's staying, saying that with his talent, he should evacuate. The friend replies that since Chu-sensei is staying, there's only one thing to do: fight. At a lavish home, a young woman named Yanju tells her mother she wants to join the defense effort. Her mother forbids it, stating the odds are impossible against a sovereign-class beast, and that her life belongs to the family. Yanju retorts that a martial family that can't fight monsters doesn't deserve to survive. Her mother then tells an aide to send a message to Yihi, letting him decide his own path. At the entrance to the Swan Lake Secret Realm, old veterans gather for a final battle, reminiscing about the last beast tied 20 years ago when one of them lost a leg. And city's military forms a final line of defense, knowing that the vanguard unit sent in to gather intel has been all but wiped out. A single, heavily wounded soldier stumbles back, delivering a USB drive with the vanguard's battle data to the mayor. He warns them of a blood-eyed black ape that set them up, lamenting that thousands could have survived otherwise before collapsing and dying. From within the realm, the beasts begin launching massive stone projectiles like artillery, targeting the city's unfinished defensive structures. The mayor is horrified, realizing the monsters are using tactics to weaken them from afar. As the bombardment continues, a lone figure stands on a rooftop overlooking the chaos, remarking that he's grown fond of an city and isn't about to let monsters destroy the life he fought to build. He then leaps into the fray. On the streets, young martial artists fight desperately, with Luo Xin killing 5 beasts. He is suddenly saved from an attack by his friend Chu Zhu, who is shocked to see that none of them evacuated. They explain that their parents are martial artists fighting on the front lines, so they couldn't run away. As another beast lunges, a military tank is hurled through the air, crushing it and saving them. The students see a massive wolf-like beast that has broken through the lines, initially mistaking it for a Lord-class creature. They quickly realize its size and aura don't match, identifying it as a powerful elite. A smaller, agile beast, which is Yihi in his transformed state, attacks the larger wolf, disgusted by its stench, and declaring it's time for some dental care. He unleashes a powerful energy breath attack to cleanse the beast. The other students watch in awe, with one calming his panicking friend by revealing that the small beast is Yihi. Another student remarks that with him here, an city might just survive. A commander flies over the battlefield, using a device to pinpoint the area with the highest concentration of beasts. He finds a section of the line where regular soldiers are being slaughtered, their captain ordering them to hold their position to buy time for civilians to escape. Just as they are about to be overrun, powerful martial artists leap into the battle, cutting down the monsters. Yihi, in his beast form, unleashes a devastating Thunderfang cleave, wiping out a large number of enemies. The other fighters notice that the beast reinforcement seem to be converging on a single location. They realize all the beasts are swarming Yihi, identifying him as an city's top scholar who has entered the battlefield. Understanding that he is the city's last hope, they resolve that they can't let him be overrun and move out to protect their top scorer. A massive beam of blue energy erupts from the jaws of a monstrous creature, engulfing the battlefield. Amidst the carnage, a lone warrior deflects a dark energy slash. A swirling vortex of destructive blue power churns at the center of the conflict. A defender shouts a warning that a Lord-class beast has locked onto someone named Yihi, urging others to protect him. Another warrior screams that if the beasts want to kill the pride of an city, they will have to go through him first. A man with white hair declares that the Earth Vein seal won't stop all the primal beasts, and that they need to take down the sovereign to end the beast tide. He then channels golden energy into his sword, preparing a powerful strike. With a swift movement, he leaps towards a massive, dark, serpentine creature emerging from the ground. The man, identified as the one who must face the beast, understands that the creature is the mountain-crushing python, a 4th-tier, king species, lord-class beast. He recognizes it as Blood Eye's strongest mount, and realizes its appearance means the sovereign monkey must be getting nervous. He slams his fist into the ground, unleashing a powerful shockwave attack he calls the mountain-crushing Dominator Hammer. The python retaliates, but the man smirks, stating that he knew it was good with Earth-type attacks and used that knowledge to his advantage. He reveals that the beast fell for his bait as he unleashes a counterattack called Burst Martial, Serpent surge. A massive explosion of golden energy erupts from the ground, engulfing the python. He follows up with another technique, the outer peak earthquake strike, causing the very ground to shatter and implode around the beast's head. He reflects that it was a good thing he had intel on the python. Otherwise, the casualties would have been immense. He tells the beast that if it had fully entered the city, he could not have weakened it. But by only showing its head, it was asking to be slaughtered. The wounded python suddenly grows a carapace of sharp stone spikes from its body. The man notes that, as expected of a king species beast, it can even grow stone spikes. He is suddenly struck from behind, realizing too late that it was an ambush. A massive, dark-furred ape with glowing red eyes, the blood-eyed black ape, emerges from within the python's stone spikes, questioning what the foolish human thinks he is doing to its mount. The man realizes the ape was hiding inside the spikes the entire time. The ape stares him down with menacing red eyes, declaring its intention to crush his skull so everyone can see how insignificant humans are before it. It lunges forward, unleashing a powerful shockwave of dark energy. The ape confirms that the city has no strong martial artists left, giving it free rein to kill everyone without restraint. A warrior named Bladewind unleashes a golden energy tempest attack. The ape mocks the human's resistance as meaningless, stating that the battlefield has become a game for it, a game designed to make humanity drown in fear and despair. The ape swats the warrior's attack aside, calling it fast but still too weak. It tells the warrior that his attack was powerful but too slow. The warrior finds himself caught in the ape's telekinetic grip and is slammed into the ground, with the ape commanding him to kneel, as it doesn't tolerate lower creatures looking it in the eye. The warrior, still defiant, asks the ape why it isn't afraid. He calls the ape an arrogant beast, declaring that its miscalculation will be its downfall as he activates a technique called Blood Forbearance Technique. A massive vortex of golden energy swirls around him, forming an earth vein seal that pulls the ape underground. The ape scoffs at the plan, asking if the naive human thinks he can be buried, and realizes he was lured into a formation laid out in advance. The ape warns that it cannot be sealed forever, and that the moment the human falters, it will tear everyone to shreds. The man, Huang King, reveals this is not a backup plan but a hymn to humanity and to courage. He explains that at the start of the war, he buried the city's one and only strategic nuclear warhead beneath the battlefield. He reveals the trigger is implanted in his heart. If his heart stops, the warhead detonates. The ape accuses him of bluffing, but Huang King states that he never planned to walk away from this alive. He introduces himself as Huang King, mayor of an city, and offers his duty, body, and life for the city and its people. With his purpose fulfilled, he allows his heart to stop, triggering the massive explosion. A towering mushroom cloud rises from the earth, a gravestone for the mayor's sacrifice. The explosion is a funeral worthy of legends. In the fiery aftermath, the blood-eyed black ape emerges, heavily wounded but alive, enraged that it was nearly taken out by a lowly human. It vows to slaughter and torture every last person in the city. It decides to retreat to the Sin Domain to recover its strength before razing the city to the ground. As it turns to leave, a new figure appears, asking where it thinks it's going. The armored protagonist states that he has found the ape at last, though he was a little too late. The armored protagonist states that he has found the ape at last, though he was a little too late. He unleashes a radiant energy blast fist, telling the foolish human genius that instead of hiding, he has arrogantly stood before it, creating the perfect chance for it to kill him. The protagonist retorts that if he had run, his Mininuke probably wouldn't have been able to catch the ape. But since it's so eager to die, he will oblige. Another massive explosion of light erupts on the battlefield. Onlookers wonder if the second warhead was another trap set by Mayor Huang King. The protagonist emerges from the light, now transformed into a massive armored titan, shocking the ape. The ape remarks that he is more beastly than it is, carrying an aura that even most king-rank beasts don't possess. The titan declares that he is not like the bald chimps and that it's no use to run. He unleashes a devastating attack called the mountain-shifting sea-flooding strike. The ape screams in defiance, refusing to be underestimated by a sovereign. The protagonist notes that even in its injured state, the sovereign-class beast is formidable. Despite his titan mode physique passing 30 points, he couldn't completely overpower it, and his arm was damaged in the exchange. The ape is shocked to see the titan's arm heal instantly, realizing it cannot beat this genius. A wave of terror washes over the ape as it repeatedly tells itself it can't win and must run. The protagonist condemns the filthy beast, declaring it doesn't deserve to stain Mayor Huang Qing's sacrifice as he charges up a final attack. He unleashes a brilliant, radiant pulse strike, a massive beam of blue energy that completely vaporizes the ape's upper body. The ape's last thought is to curse the human genius as it's obliterated. The monkey's body, having burrowed underground and played dead, is sensed by the protagonist. He realizes that pretending to be dead means it's afraid of being found. He understands this is the best chance to kill the gravely injured overlord-level beast, lamenting that if he'd located it earlier, Mayor Huang might not have had to die. Even with its concealment, he can still sense the faint trace of its life. He locates the fleeing ape and fires a massive beam of energy, finding the damn monkey just as it sensed the entrance to the Sin domain nearby. The ape curses the mayor's trap. The protagonist tells the beast that this is the price for defiling the mayor, and he will make it wish it were dead. The ape, backed into a corner, tells the vile worm not to push its luck. It decides to burn the last of its magic core's energy to drag the protagonist to hell with it. As it lunges forward to self-destruct, screaming for him to die, the protagonist is suddenly struck by a psychic attack. A mysterious singing voice rings out, causing his head to hurt and everything to spin. He realizes another expert has interfered. Countless spectral hands erupt from the ground, grabbing onto the protagonist's armored form. The mysterious entity warns him that he cannot escape. The hands lock his joints, immobilizing his body. Refusing to be trapped, the protagonist's power surges from 100% to 1000%. Unleashing a torrent of blue and black energy to break free. The new entity, a being of blue flame, tells the ape that the giant has caught up, and it must hurry and run. It pulls the ape's soul from its destroyed body. The protagonist recognizes the new arrival as another magic beast, possibly an overlord itself. He knows that if its true form appeared, he'd be on his knees instantly. As his hearing is blocked, an eerie scream still reaches his mind from the giant anthropomorphic entity. He tells the creature it's dreaming, as he gathers a massive ball of energy. The ape's master now wants to leave. He tells the creature it's dreaming, as he gathers a massive ball of energy. The ape's master now wants to leave. He offers the entity a local specialty from his hometown, a nuke, and hopes the bitch likes it. A colossal beam of blue light erupts, engulfing the secret realm's rift. The flow of beasts is halted, and the remaining forces in the city realize the mayor's sacrifice was not in vain, and the city might be saved. The giant nuke finally destroys the carcass of the blood-eye black ape, and the siege of Incity is won. The cost was devastating, with nearly 80% of the fighters and soldiers killed or wounded. The protagonist awakens in the Swan Lake secret realm, at the site of the previous nuclear blast. He wonders how long he's been unconscious. He realizes that after pouring all his energy into his final blast, the area, already saturated with nuclear radiation, acted like a charging station, instantly replenishing his power. He reflects on the brutal battle, acknowledging that victory was a combination of Mayor Huang's sacrifice, the home field advantage of the blast zone, and sheer luck. He knows his infinite monster template, while strong, can't yet match an overlord-class beast on its own. He decides he must hurry to collect plant element magic cores compatible with his cosmic emperor template to get stronger. 1 month after the siege, he sits by a statue erected in the mayor's honor. He reads the news on his phone. 18 cities across Xia Nation were attacked, and 12 fell. A new S-class secret realm has appeared in Guangshan City, and even the nation's strongest guardian martial artist, Fu Hengsheng, was severely wounded investigating it, with 1.8 million citizens confirmed lost. Seeing how dire the situation has become for humanity on Blue Star, he decides he can't wait any longer. He calls a woman he refers to as Aunt Kin, asking for a favor. He asks for her help in acquiring high-quality plant element magic cores, ideally blue or even purple lord class. She notes that he has grand ambitions, as such cores are extremely rare and precious, and asks what he can offer in return. He proposes a deal. At Huadu University's freshman secret realm exam, he will team up with Liu Qingzhu and help her get first place. She tells him he's underestimating the prodigies from other provinces, and that even with his strength, he's still short of the top geniuses. He reminds her that she has chosen to entrust the Liu family's resurgence to him. He offers to sign an IOU, stating that if they don't win first place, he will serve the Liu family in any capacity, even caring for her in her old age. Amused, she finally agrees, telling him she'll help him this time. The story continues at the An City Central Hospital, a modern glass building standing under a clear sky. Inside, a massive crowd is gathered around a young man named Yith, buzzing with excitement. One fan noted how impressive it was that Yi was totally fine while everyone else was injured, calling him the martial top scorer as expected. Others clamored for his autograph or asked to add him on Penguin Talk, mentioning they heard he had killed many monsters during the Secret Realm invasion. Yi, looking overwhelmed, silently refused their requests, thinking to himself that he didn't expect to be so popular. His attention was on a sign for Ward 6, which listed the names Chu Zhu and Liu Oxuan. In a hospital room, a man covered head to toe in bandages, identified as Chu Zhu, was being mercilessly mocked by another man for finally having his day, sarcastically calling him in city's #1 handsome guy. Ye entered the room and Chu Zhu, still bandaged, asked what was with all the stuff he was holding. Ye explained that fans on the way had sent them. Another patient in the room, a man with a mustache, cheerfully greeted Ye. Ye, confused, asked who he was. The man introduced himself as Liu Oxuan, his first opponent in the promotion match, and asked if Ye had already forgotten him so soon. Liu Oxuan told Ye not to look at him as if he were finished, insisting his leg was still fine. He sat up in bed, revealing a heavily bandaged leg, and explained that he could either get limb regeneration surgery or attach the latest battle prosthetic from Lazerbird. Ye internally noted that losing a leg so young, while defending in city, was admirable of Liu Oxuan. As a small drip-like sound emanated from Ye, his phone began to ring from an unknown number, which he found annoying as he had been receiving many nuisance calls recently. He grew frustrated as the calls persisted, exclaiming that it never ended. An angry, mustached man on the other end, his principal, yelled at Ye, questioning why he had blocked a big shot from Huadu and demanding he unblock them immediately. A flustered Ye acknowledged the principal's order. Answering the call, a man named Wang Tao from the admissions office of Imperial Capital University informed Ye that the university would open a month early, and a special train would pick him up in 3 days. Meanwhile, the bandaged Chu Zhu was on his own phone, being addressed by a teacher Liu from Huadu University admissions. He respectfully agreed to follow whatever arrangements were made. Ye ended his call and reflected on the strange situation of 3 people in one ward, with everyone but him being a top student, Riley thinking he belonged under the bed instead. He looked determined, thinking that before reporting in, there was one more thing he needed to do. A few days later, at the Swan Lake nuclear blast site, the world was cast in perpetual night. The sky was shrouded in thick ash from the hundreds of tons of dust thrown into the clouds by the nuclear explosion. Ye stood amidst the lingering energy, a blue aura flaring around him as he underwent a transformation, his body becoming more monstrous and scaled. A blue holographic interface appeared, displaying his stats under the infinite monster template. It identified the host as Ye, with an overall physique of 27. 4. A Wild Traces Cosmic Emperor template sync of 38. 9%, and a giant anthropomorphic sync of 90%. He reflected that the battle with the blood-eye black ape had increased his template sync by an extremely high one, 5%. Combined with the residual nuclear radiation and atomic fissure energy, the site was a true cultivation sanctuary. After 3 days of training, his sync had increased by another significant 6 points. Realizing he needed to go, he knew that unfortunately, his time was up. At a train station, an announcement declared the departure of train G6666 to Huadu West Station in 5 minutes. A young man with blue-tinged hair stood on the platform as other passengers boarded. Suddenly, a powerful presence arrived, and the young man looked up, stating that he was here. A wave of blue energy washed over the platform as Ye arrived just in time, leaving a trail of crackling power behind him. On the train, a man with glasses exclaimed in shock, asking if that was Ye. Another passenger commented on the terrifying wave of oppression, saying it scared them to death and made them think another high-tier beast had arrived. A woman added that even a high-tier martial artist wouldn't feel so oppressive, calling Ye the true pride of City. The blue-haired young man looked at Ye, noting that he had gotten stronger again. Ye looked out at the city skyline, thinking that City was his first stop since crossing over and his point of origin, and now they were about to leave. He bid a silent farewell to the city as the sleek, futuristic train pulled away from the station. On board, he excitedly declared their journey to Huadu had begun. Inside the bustling train car, the blue-haired man told Ye to be a little more serious. Ye, looking around at the other students, wondered if they were all top scorers. His companion explained that the train itself was made of advanced materials capable of withstanding thousands of tons of impact force. Furthermore, there were at least 5 hidden and visible warrior escorts, possibly even Grandmaster-level experts, overseeing the trip since the passengers were the most elite students of their generation in Great Zia. Ye, using his life sense, confirmed there were a few strong individuals, but Riley noted that only 5 of them could survive 3 moves from him. Suddenly, a red alert flashed through the cabin, announcing that the Huadu train was under attack by an unknown enemy. The alert ordered professors and faculty to investigate while students were to evacuate immediately and not engage the enemy. One student expressed disbelief, wondering who would dare attack the university and speculating it might be a drill. Another student, however, reasoned that the Zia nation was at its weakest, with guardian martial artists injured, one grandmaster missing, and many others having died in beast-tide attacks, making it a prime time for suppressed nations and factions to stir restlessly. He then asked Ye for his opinion. Ye, annoyed at being woken from a nap he needed after training so hard, stood up decisively to see what was going on. He and his companion made their way to the front of the train, finding a wounded student leaning against a door, covered in blood. The injured student, a freshman named Zhu Jingxian, gasped that the enemies had overrun the first 3 compartments. He explained they used a special domain to pull people into a separate space, so the battle's shockwaves didn't affect the outside, and that terrifying enemies were chasing everyone down. He recounted how the warrior teachers protecting them were almost all dead or wounded, and they had worked together to send him out to warn the others that this was not a drill. The other students, however, were skeptical, demanding evidence. A large, muscular freshman with wild blonde hair, Yan Zhengsheng, stepped forward. He declared that he didn't believe Zhu Jingxian made it out when his own friend, who was strong enough to compete for top freshmen, did not. Another student agreed with the lion-headed guy, and Yan Zhengsheng announced he was heading to the front. Zhu Jingxian frantically tried to stop him, pleading that it was truly dangerous up ahead and questioning why they wouldn't listen instead of walking to their deaths. He then recognized Ye and asked if it was him. Ye's eyes glowed as he detected an anomaly in the student's life field. Zhu Jingxian, looking at Ye, explained that a girl named Liu Qingzhu had shown him his photo. She had told him to find Ye and warn him not to go to the front compartments, no matter what. Ye was visibly stunned to hear her words. Zhu Jingxian continued, explaining that she had taken a heavy slash to protect him. Crying, he said the others were dead set on getting themselves killed, and he couldn't stop them. But he had promised the girl he'd make sure Ye survived. Ye retorted that she wasn't even dead yet, and he was already talking about her dying wish. Chu Zhu, his bandages now off, angrily declared that he had promised her parents and wouldn't let Ye pass. Ye punched Chu Zhu, sending him flying back, and questioned how someone with his pathetic look even got into Huadu. He angrily told Chu Zhu he was trying to save him and couldn't believe he was being so unreasonable, stating that someone as refined as Qingzhu couldn't possibly know 2 brutes like them. He knocked Chu Zhu out with a single blow. Handing the unconscious Chu Zhu a blood essence pill, he told his companion they were in a rush. As they ran forward, the injured Zhu Jingxian weakly called out for them not to go, warning them of the danger. They arrived at a doorway marked 03, from which a swirling purple portal emanated. Ye identified it as the separate space entrance the freshman mentioned. He decided to test the path, lifting his suitcase and tossing it into the portal. The suitcase vanished without a sound, and Ye noted that even his life field couldn't detect any energy inside. Finding it interesting, he remarked that many freshmen had already walked in and decided to go in himself. He stepped through the portal, feeling a wave of dizziness and wondering who was behind the trickery. Once inside the purple, starry void, he realized that although they entered together, Chuzhu was now gone. Seeing a light ahead, he decided to get out first. He emerged into a surreal space filled with floating, derelict skyscrapers under a dark, cloudy sky. Questioning what this freaky place was, he realized his life field was unresponsive and wondered if it was being blocked by the place. Deciding the old method still worked, he generated a massive ball of blue energy in his hand, telling the unseen enemy not to play ghost games with him, before commanding the energy to explode. The massive blue explosion ripped through the surreal cityscape. On the ground below, several figures were caught in the blast. One person wondered about the massive explosion, while another questioned what was going on. A wounded young woman on the ground, Liu Qingzhu, looked up and weakly asked why Ye had come. Ye landed amidst the destruction, observing that he had drawn out not only classmates and teammates, but enemies too. He faced a figure wearing a pighead mask, remarking that one look told him they were no good. The masked enemy, angered by the taunt, lunged forward, vowing to rip the headpiece off. Ye met the attack head-on, taking a nuclear punch without flinching, much to his opponent's shock. Ye commented that his enemy didn't expect his healing to be so fast, boasting that he could block the enemy's blade with just his muscles. He grabbed the masked figure's weapon, wanting a closer look. With a swift motion, he ripped off the pighead mask, declaring that he was an honest guy who did what he said he would do. Inside the headpiece, he found a green, glowing pendant. He mused that this must be a Huadu trial, beating monsters for loot. He deduced the masked person's weapon was enhanced by a high-level martial artist's aura, which would make it an ordinary item once the aura faded. He looked at the pendant, wondering if he was supposed to hunt down masked enemies and take the pendants from them, comparing it to a battle royale. Suddenly, another wave of enemies appeared from the shadows, and he grimaced, stating he hated ambushes the most. He effortlessly dispatched the attackers, remarking on their naivete for thinking they could kill him so easily. He unleashed a powerful blast of energy that shot up a skyscraper, causing the entire building to collapse in a massive explosion. From a distance, another student witnessed the destruction and wondered what had happened. Ye faced a new opponent wearing a rabbit mask, identifying it as another zodiac sign. The rabbit-headed warrior was skilled, launching a powerful, precise strike. Ye was surprised, noting that his opponent knew martial arts. A beam of light shot towards him from an unseen attacker. Ye's blue-haired companion, Liu Oxuan, appeared just in time, creating a massive ice wall to block the attack. Liu Oxuan told Ye that it was a close call and that he should leave the rabbit to him. He engaged the rabbit-masked enemy, clashing with blades amidst shards of ice. The rabbit warrior seemed momentarily surprised. Ye then appeared behind the rabbit, grabbing it and gleefully exclaiming that he had finally caught the cutie. A few minutes earlier, a group of students were hiding amongst the rubble. One wondered why it was so silent, asking if the ostentatious guy who barged in was already dead. Another student was certain he was, explaining that they had a dozen people ambush the masked guys and none were injured, as their weapons could break any defense and were beyond their level. A woman added that the guy who came in blasting was too arrogant, likely a local student full of self-importance. One of them commented that the top scorers from big cities were on another level compared to them, mentioning he'd heard that several named prodigies had already started hunting the masked guys. Another student asked if this meant the freshman champion must be one of them. A wiser student refuted this, explaining that the freshman presidents were always locals from Huadu, and that students from other regions were no match due to the disparity in cultivation resources they received since childhood. Suddenly, the massive blue beam from Ye's attack lit up the sky. The students stared in shock, one asking if it was a railgun. Elsewhere, a freshman with a massive axe, Aoyang Zi, stood over a defeated foe and commented on the attack, noting that the style didn't fit the masked guy's methods and was likely a freshman's technique. Another group of freshmen looked at the blast. One questioned how any freshman, apart from the few in Huadu, could possess such exaggerated power. Another held up a string of pendants shaped like a rat, dog, monkey, and horse, saying they had to check it out. A young man with sharp features noted that several other top freshmen had already obtained the goat, snake, and ox pendants, meaning only the pig, rabbit, rooster, tiger, and dragon remained. His gaze hardened as he thought about the dragon. A massive, spectral dragon head formed of purple energy appeared, representing a boss that was a one-touch death existence they had to flee from. The young man's companion noted that the freshman releasing the blue beams definitely had several pendants, and that the other top students would be drawn there, signaling the final round of the game. The young man concluded that if they wanted victory, they could only snatch it from others. Back with Ye and Liu Oxuan, Ye held the green pig-shaped pendant he had acquired. Liu Oxuan asked what it was. Ye explained that before Liu Oxuan arrived, he had taken down a guy in a pig head mask and gotten the pendant from inside it. He theorized that the trial was about collecting all the animal head pendants. Liu Oxuan asked if they were going to actively hunt the masked guys. Ye confirmed this, explaining that another guy on a rooftop had shot a hidden arrow at him, who must have been a masked guy that escaped in the chaos. He added that since the arrow hit him, he could track the shooter. They took off, with Ye leading the way. They soon found signs of a recent battle, with scorch marks still warm on the ground, indicating the other party wasn't far. Ye sensed they were nearby. Suddenly, Liu Oxuan swung his massive blade, shattering the air and revealing a hidden figure. A young woman with pink hair appeared, annoyed that her optical invisibility had been detected. A new student named Xin Chen appeared behind her, pointing a small flame on his finger, and stating that her optical camouflage was way too weak. She retorted that it was none of his business, Xin Chen asked if she was ambushing them, but a third person, Lan Yusi, stepped forward, explaining to the big bro that he had it wrong. She said they had just taken out a guy in a chicken mask and were hiding to bait out more masked ones. Xin Chen created a clone of himself, which appeared behind Lan Yusi and grabbed her, asking what she was supposed to be. She was shocked her clone was found out, admitting the guy had some skills. She giggled, saying she wasn't expecting his sneak attack to work anyway, as that would have been too boring, and now it was her turn. Xin Chen's clone expanded into a massive, shadowy form, which then exploded into a cloud of dark smoke. Lan Yusi appeared from the smoke holding a fan, telling him not to even think about running. She summoned a powerful wind that dispersed the smoke cloud, revealing Xin Chen, then declared it wasn't over, and that she would heat things up for him by unleashing a massive fire attack. Xin Chen stood amidst the flames, laughing maniacally, stating that even if she was strong, she was still no match for them. Yi appeared behind him, asking what the hell he was laughing at. With a simple clap of his hands, Yi generated a shockwave that instantly dispelled Lan Yusi's fire cloud. She stared in disbelief, wondering what kind of power could do that. Yi unleashed a barrier-breaking fist, a powerful punch that sent a shockwave hurtling toward Xin Chen. Lan Yusi noted that her physical power was sealed at the martial apprentice level, and while Huadu's freshmen had a higher ceiling, they couldn't break through either. Yet this guy's physical stats were nothing like a college freshman's. She suddenly realized she was too focused on the punch guy and had forgotten about the frost guy Liu Oxuan, who had trapped her feet in ice. Two massive demonic energy signatures erupted from Yi and Liu Oxuan, causing her to realize that even teaming up with Xin Chen, they couldn't defeat one, let alone two. She knew there was zero chance of winning, and decided she had to run. As she tried to flee, Yi grabbed her ankle, stopping her cold. He pulled her down from the air, preparing to unleash a cosmic martial art technique. She tried to fight back, but Yi grinned maliciously, asking if she was trying to escape. He unleashed his power, and shadowy red tendrils erupted from the ground, ensnaring her. She screamed in terror as the tendrils constricted around her, asking what these things were as she found herself unable to move. Yi loomed over her with a terrifying, wide grin, telling her that since she couldn't fight and couldn't flee, she should just accept her fate. A defeated red-haired woman surrenders to Yi, telling him to take all her pendants. She explains that to win the trial, one must collect all 12 pendants and warns him that two powerful freshmen, Aoyang Zi and Yan Zhengsheng, are likely to have gathered quite a few already. Since her own chances of winning are gone, she offers to lead Yi to them, hoping to cause chaos by pitting them against each other. Yi declines her offer, but comments that he likes her fan before she can react. Elsewhere, Aoyang Zi and Yan Zhengsheng discuss their own strategy, with Aoyang Zi confidently stating that it doesn't matter who collects the pendants, as they will simply take them from the winner in the end. Their conversation is cut short when they discover the dead body of another participant, Xin Chen. In a brief flashback, Xin Chen realizes he is being hunted by a monstrous entity, and concludes he must team up with Aoyang Zi and Yan Zhengsheng to survive, only to be ambushed and killed moments later by a shadowy figure wearing a dragon mask. Back in the present, Aoyang Zi and his companion examine the fatal wound, deducing that the killer was the infamous dragon mask, whose power was so overwhelming that Xin Chen was killed in a single, decisive slash. Yan Zhengsheng recalls a traumatic encounter where he led 20 followers into an underground lot to confront the dragon mask, with only 2 of them making it out alive. Horrified that the trial involved actual killing, they realize Xin Chen's pendant has been taken and speculate that the dragon mask is now free from its restricted area, because the freshmen have defeated all the other masked zodiac hunters. They conclude that the dragon mask will now actively hunt down the remaining pendant holders, and that their only chance is to find the others first. Aoyang Zi decides they must send out a signal to draw all remaining fighters together for a final battle. In another part of the Dead City, a young woman named Liu Qingzhu reflects on how she was dragged into the trial, aware that the dragon mask has been killing many of the other students. She looks at a picture on her phone, determined to find a way to warn someone named Yi to stay away from the danger. Liu Qingzhu worries for Yi's safety, but believes his immense strength will protect him as long as he avoids a direct confrontation with the dragon mask. Suddenly sensing she's been discovered, she knows her pursuer is coming for her pendant, and that escape is impossible. She resolves to lure them into a trap, feeling that Yi will need the pendant she carries. Her pursuer is Aoyang Zi, who recognizes her as Liu Qingzhu of the Liu family, recalling that she awakened the nether spirit bird bloodline. He sees she possesses the ox pendant and correctly guesses her plan. To lure him into the underground parking lot, the dragon masks supposed territory. Smirking at her naivete, he tells Zhengsheng to wait, explaining that the dragon mask is no longer confined to the lot, and that he will go capture her himself. Sprouting golden wings, Aoyangzi descends upon Liu Qingzhu, telling her there is no escape. Suddenly, a chilling voice fills the air, and Aoyangzi freezes in shock. He thinks it can't be the dragon mask, who should be hunting other pendant bearers. A horrifying realization dawns on him. With 4 pendants in his possession, he is the prime target. A dark, monstrous entity pulsing with purple energy materializes behind him, trapping him in a field domain that he can only escape by defeating the caster. As a horrifying beast emerges from the purple mist, the scene shifts to Yi, who is annoyed by someone using a global voice chat to provoke all the remaining participants. His silver-haired companion asks to handle the challenger himself to test his own strength. The companion summons an ice sword and engages in a fierce battle with a spiky-haired warrior, who dodges his attacks relentlessly. As their blades clash, the silver-haired man channels his energy, becoming one with his sword. But his opponent meets the strike with the spectral form of a roaring tiger, sending him staggering back. In that moment, the silver-haired man senses a distress signal from his companion, Z, realizing he's in trouble and calling for help. He tells his opponent he must leave due to urgent business. But as he turns, Yi appears and blocks his path, asking if he really thought he could leave after talking so tough. Yi unleashes a blast of blue energy, sending the man flying. The defeated man lies bleeding on the ground, and Yi mockingly tells him his punch was a little harder because his groans of pain were so ugly. 3 minutes later, the man is thoroughly beaten, and Yi comments that lasting 3 minutes is impressive, considering Xin Chen was defeated with a single punch. Yi takes the man's large blade, noting its good weight, while his companion reports that they found no pendant, only a strange, glowing green medallion that appears to be sending a signal. Elsewhere, a red-haired woman lies defeated, lamenting that she used her last resort, a special locking nail meant to seal an opponent's martial energy by striking their heart. A flashback shows her throwing the nail at the dragon mask, but despite sacrificing her arm in the process, she missed his heart by a mere 3 finger widths, losing her only chance to win. Meanwhile, an injured Liu Qingzhu struggles up a flight of stairs, knowing the dragon mask will target her next now that Aoyangzi has been defeated. Inspired by Yi's earlier idea, she decides to fire off her own signal flare from the top of the tallest building to draw Yi to her so they can escape together. She unleashes her bloodline power, Nether Sparrow, sending a massive pulse of purple energy into the sky. Exhausted, she hopes Yi received her message, but her relief is short-lived as she hears a sound and realizes she has been found. She is horrified by how quickly her enemy located her and tries to send another signal to warn Yi away. But the dragon mask is already standing right behind her. Just as the masked figure is about to strike, a massive blast of blue energy erupts, and Yi appears, shouting that he made a promise to her parents and intends to keep it. Liu Qingzhu cries out his name in shock and relief as Yi turns his fury on the dragon mask. Yi unleashes a devastating energy slash that carves through the entire skyscraper, then tells Liu Qingzhu to find their comrades in the eastern alley, while he deals with the dragon mask alone. The building crumbles as Yi finds himself once again drawn into the dragon mask's purple domain. He taunts his opponent, asking if hiding in this field is its only way of fighting, and notices the nail still embedded near the creature's heart, suspecting it was part of Yan Zhengsheng's plan. The dragon mask lunges forward with incredible speed, and Yi meets the charge, eager for the fight. Now clad in draconic armor, Yi declares that he's finally found a worthy opponent. Across from him, the dragon mask's helmet is shattered, revealing a wild-haired man whose power has surged. Yi notes that an invincible boss wouldn't be defeated so easily, observing that his opponent's speed and strength have increased since the mask broke. During their intense clash, Yi's blade shatters, but he manages to catch his opponent's curved sword with his armored hand. Announcing himself as Technician No. 23, Yi launches a ferocious counterattack, targeting the body's weakest points. He explains that due to Aoyangzi's earlier attack with the bronze spike, his opponent's energy meridians are blocked, allowing Yi's own baleful energy to cause critical internal damage. He intercepts the dragon mask's throne sword, stating that the only chance his enemy had was to catch him off guard at the very beginning, and now it is too late. Using the fan he took from Lan Yusi, now infused with immense killing intent. Yihi unleashes a final, devastating two-punch combo called Black Flash. The dragon mask is obliterated, and Yihi scoffs that the so-called dragon was nothing more than a worm. As the creature dissolves, it whispers for someone to kill it, leaving behind the final dragon pendant. Having collected all 12, Yihi declares the game over. Later, their group reunites, and Liu Qingzhu expresses her regret for being too weak to help, feeling she only holds Yi back. Yi asks to borrow her ox pendant and arranges all 12 zodiac pendants in order. Yan Zhengsheng explains that the dragon pendant was never part of the set for clearing the trial, but was instead a tool to hunt other pendant holders. As he speaks, the pendants begin to glow, and a massive pillar of light engulfs them. The light fades, and Yi finds himself back on the Huadu University train, discovering that the entire ordeal was an illusion created by an artifact called the Mirage Eye for the freshman trial. An announcement declares that Yihi's team ranked first by collecting all the pendants, and that he will receive a special reward for his outstanding performance. The other students murmur in disbelief, wondering who this unknown from a city is. A system window appears before Yihi, rewarding him with 1 template draw for outperforming everyone. Vowing no dirty tricks this time, he initiates the draw and receives a D-class vampire template. A pink-haired young man named Aoyang Zi approaches Yihi on a crowded train, asking if he is the one who defeated a dragon mask, to which Yihi coldly clarifies that he killed him. The news shocks Aoyang Zi, who then tries to recruit Yihi for a new club meant to challenge the local students' control over the university, even offering him the presidency. Aoyang Zi explains that Yihi's strength gives him hope of breaking this tradition, but Yihi flatly refuses, stating he prefers to go solo and has no interest in such power struggles. Despite the rejection, Aoyang Zi gives him a business card, saying they will always be open to working with him. The train arrives at its destination, and Yihi looks out the window in awe at the massive, neon-drenched, futuristic metropolis of Huadu. An announcer directs the new freshmen through a gate, after which they are instructed to board a futuristic aircraft for the final leg of their journey to the campus. A white-haired woman stops a girl named Zhezhu, reminding her that while she is Yihi's fiancée, they aren't married yet, and she should protect herself from him. Yihi approaches and asks why they are taking a plane, prompting Zhezhu to wonder why her mother would betroth her to a country bumpkin. Zhezhu begrudgingly explains that Huadu University is located in the sky, and soon their aircraft is flying towards a colossal city floating amongst the clouds. As they pass through a shimmering blue electromagnetic net, Yihi notes it must be for defending against monsters, and that his own detection abilities are suppressed here, a testament to the university's power. After landing, a staff member gives him his student ID card. Aboard a maglev train heading to the dorms, Yi tells Zhezhu his room is on the 42nd floor, and since hers is on the 45th, he will get off first. He is stunned to find his dorm is a luxurious 100-square-meter single suite, complete with the latest computer and a massage bathtub, feeling as if he's in a 5-star hotel. Lying on his bed, he recalls using his student ID to access the university app, Huajupas, and his first move is to spend his points to max out his vampire Rakad template. A system notification informs him that he received 322.43 academy points, and he balks at the exchange rate of 100,000 coins to 1 point, calling it robbery. He purchases a large quantity of blood attribute magic cores, believing it will be enough to finish his template upgrade. The items are delivered instantly by a drone, and after consuming all the cores, he feels a wave of nausea. A system panel confirms his vampire Rakad template has reached 100% compatibility, unlocking the infinite monster template, Rakuo, Crimson Calamity, and increasing his constitution to 29. He flexes his hands, admiring his newly sharpened fingernails and fangs, and gets a bold idea. To test his new powers, he bites his own neck and observes the wound healing at a noticeably faster rate. He declares the regeneration a secondary benefit compared to his new primary power, Crimson Calamity. Entering the training room in his dorm, his body bulks up as he is wreathed in red energy. He summons a demonic, red-armored warrior and commands it to punch him. He counters by transforming into a shadowy beast, and the two figures tear into each other in a violent, bloody clash. Standing over the defeated red demon, Yihi decides it's time to test his time stop ability. He activates Crimson Calamity Time Freeze, and a countdown begins, lasting for 5 seconds before he begins to strain, blood pouring from his eyes as he pushes the duration to 5. 4 seconds. The time freeze shatters and he collapses, realizing his new body's limit surpasses the original's. The next morning, a fellow student named Chu Zhu remarks on the glaring sunlight, which he agrees with, musing that his vampire template has given him an aversion to it. Chu Zhu asks if he saw the announcement about the new mentorship system, but Yihi admits he was training all night. The announcement states that because Yihi collected all 12 zodiac pendants, he has the unique privilege of choosing any mentor he wants, with no mentor allowed to refuse him. They arrive at the crowded athletics hall, where students are being assessed in groups. Yihi tells Chu Zhu to go ahead, deciding to walk around since the selection process is meaningless for him. He finds the entire affair boring until he suddenly catches the scent of blood. He follows the scent, realizing it carries a ferocious, murderous intent that resonates with his own inner aura, and finds its source to be a small, white-haired girl who looks up at him. He wonders how such a cute girl could be the source of such a terrifying aura, thinking he must be mistaken. The girl asks him if he trained in the flesh demon physique, and when he asks how she knew, she claims it's because she personally helped a man named Ziohu improve the technique. Yihi is shocked, realizing she's referring to the monstrously strong Liu Chenggu, whom she claims was her disciple over 90 years ago. He finds her story unbelievable, thinking that while some martial artists can maintain a youthful appearance, her pure, innocent vibe seems impossible to fake. Sensing his disbelief, the girl's demeanor darkens, and Yihi is suddenly struck with a terrifying vision of a guillotine blade descending upon him. The vision fades, and he realizes with a shock that her killing intent was so powerful it created a hallucination where he was about to be beheaded. The girl, whose name is Gong Qi, apologizes for going overboard, begging him not to report her, as she only gets a few hours of supervised release each week. She then introduces herself as a powerful grandmaster, who once made the current university president cry when he was a child. Upon hearing this, Yihi immediately drops to his knees. He realizes she is the perfect master to help him break through his bottlenecks, and formally asks to become her apprentice. Meanwhile, inside the athletics hall, the 5 deans of the university are serving as mentors, waiting specifically for Yihi. A flashback reveals that the entire Zodiac trial was a live-streamed evaluation for all faculty, and Yihi was the only student to receive a perfect score in every category. What truly stunned them, however, was his victory over Dragon Mask, a combat model based on data from the world's strongest martial artist, Fu Hengsheng. They believe Yihi is destined to become a great grandmaster, and are eagerly waiting to mentor him when an aide rushes in with the shocking news that Yihi has just become the disciple of Gong Qi, an expelled former professor. Back outside, Gong Qi is surprised by his request, but before she can answer, he promises to win her freedom back within 2 years if she accepts him. Her eyes light up, and she agrees just as the 5 deans descend from the sky, interrupting them. The deans remind Senior Gong Qi that she is not supposed to interact with students and is not mentally fit to teach anyone, telling her to go home. Scornfully, she ignores them and asks Yihi his name before taking his hand and declaring that he is coming home with her. Yihi tells the white-haired girl to stop crying, and she quickly tries to save face, insisting that she wasn't crying at all. She asks if he's really not going to leave, and he confirms it, stating he wouldn't abandon her after she worked so hard to become his disciple. Now that he has a sense of her strength, he agrees to start her training and asks what she would like to learn. She asks to learn advanced martial techniques, specifically how he managed to slice through lightning and her humanoid's arm. He explains that the slashing technique is hard to teach, as it's a feel one gets after cutting enough things. He elaborates that every object, whether human or beast, has a precise point of entry, a line that can be cleanly severed, which he calls the kill line. Yihi reflects that his master's style is like a butcher with perfect precision, totally different from the overwhelming force used by Qianlong. The master tells him that to learn her techniques, he must first become a martial artist, as he isn't qualified otherwise. She explains that the difference between a disciple and an artist isn't just physical improvement, but also a mental one, involving a critical new ability called inner vision. Through inner vision, a martial artist can see their own meridians and organs, using martial energy to reinforce them and expand the body's limits, proving that a strong spirit comes before a strong body. Yihi is impressed by Master Gong Qi's teaching ability, and thinks that despite her unhinged nature after fusing with the vampire template, her knowledge is intact, and his own recent rise in mental stats will give him a huge edge. Advancement techniques are ranked in 4 tiers: Tiangang, Disha, Xuanwang, and unranked, with lower-tier schools only having access to the unranked methods. Unranked techniques are easy to use and are the method by which over 80% of martial artists break through. He asks about the higher tiers, Tiangang and Disha. His master explains that Tiangang tier skills are like sacred relics, with fewer than 10 left in the world, and that the university's single copy is inaccessible to him at his current rank. However, she offers to teach him a Disha tier advancement technique she has mastered, the Killer's Bodhi Heart Sutra. She reveals that Zai Ohu's flesh-bound demon Cade was inspired by this very method. Yihi eagerly agrees to learn it. She tells him to get ready to experience the killing intent domain she created just for him. He finds himself in a blood-red realm, repeatedly practicing his slashes. Later, as his class is dismissed, Chuju approaches Yihi to ask about his first day. As Chuju gets closer, Yihi instinctively reacts with killing intent, his eyes glowing fiercely. He quickly apologizes, explaining it was just a reflex, leaving Chuju to wonder what on earth he went through that day. 10 hours earlier, inside the illusion realm, Yihi was tasked with fighting off hordes of zombies with only a dull knife, forbidden from using any martial skills or powers. The purpose was to train his muscle memory to instinctively locate the kill line and strike with speed and accuracy. Back in his dorm room, Yi thinks about how dangerous it is for a martial disciple to practice a Disha tier technique, and knows that if his mental stats weren't abnormally high, the killing intent would have devoured him. He gets a call from Liu Qingzhu, who says her mom sent over what he asked for. She thanks him for helping her rank first in the freshman trial team. He asks about her mentor, and she happily says she was taken in by Dean Bai. When she asks about his, he decides it's better not to mention rejecting 5 deans, and his voice gets muffled as he tries to answer. Half a semester later, it's mentioned that a student named Aoyang Zi formed the Dragonblood Society, which clashed with local Huadu students and ultimately lost momentum. The most famous first year is now Xiang Jianhui, praised as a future national-grade warrior, while Yihi has vanished from public view for 3 months. During that time, he was in the Underground Research Institute, doing intense push-ups while his master stood on his back, injecting him with refined martial energy to help him solidify his new martial artist stage. He complains that it feels like lifting a mountain and that her energy is tickling him to death, but she taunts him for being tired before reaching 1,000 push-ups. Pushing through the pain, he reaches his limit, and a burst of bloody energy erupts from his body. This energy shreds his old muscles and replaces them with new ones charged with martial power. His master notes his shirt is gone and playfully calls him a perv for peeking through his fingers as she covers her eyes. Having ended his retreat, he tells her he needs to see the sun again. She asks if he will come back, and he confirms he will, teasing her to get better at video games before he returns. Emerging from the underground facility, he relishes being outside after 3 months, feeling like it's been a lifetime. He heads to the Student Activity Center to pick up an off-campus mission, a key component of their grades at Huadu. He meets up with Chuju, who looks relieved to see him finally out of retreat. Chuju notes that while there's no obvious change in Yihi's aura, that in itself is the scariest change, and wonders how strong he has become. Chuju recounts watching a match where the freshman rep, Xiang Jianhui, easily defeated Aoyang Zi without even going all out, and now believes he might be even stronger. Just then, Liu Qingzhu arrives late, flustered, and hugs Yi from behind, saying she hates him for being gone for 3 months. The group reviews available missions, settling on 3 high-difficulty options: a serial killer in Hengcheng, a beast-tide anomaly in Liancheng, and a strange abnormality in Lingshui County. Qingzhu notes that the Lingshui mission was just bumped from Tier 2 to Tier 3. Chuju expresses concern, as taking a Tier 2 mission is rare for a 3-person first-year squad, but Yihi reveals he has a privilege card. The card allows him to accept any mission up to Tier 3, a reward for his past accomplishments. Analyzing the missions, Yihi dismisses the first 2 as inefficient and favors the third, Lingshui County, because it offers the highest risk and highest return, a sentiment the other 2 agree with. At the reception desk, the instructor scoffs at 3 first-years attempting a Tier 3 mission where a second-year squad was already wiped out. Yihi presents his privilege card, and after a quick call to the director to verify it, the stunned instructor wishes them a victorious fortune. Before leaving, Yi goes to the College of Mech and Magitech's foundry to claim his first-place reward from the pendant war. The dean praises his excellent eye for choosing a weapon over a dishot-tier skill. He is presented with a top-grade divine blade, a 1-2-meter horse cutter forged from ultra-tough starfall gold, which channels martial energy at 95% efficiency. Yihi grips the weapon, noting its grip is wrapped in anti-slip black leather threaded with metal filaments. He swings the blade, feeling a wail of wind and a flash of light, finding its weight and fit perfect. The dean boasts that even Senior Gong would call him dad when it comes to forging, but quickly tells Yihi not to repeat that to her. Arriving in Lingshui County, the team goes undercover as university students on an internship. To avoid spooking their target, Yihi uses his Demon Wraith template, now at 71%, to blanket the county with life field sensing. As they approach their arranged house, a man on a tricycle offers them a cheap and fast ride. The mission officially begins. Using a cover identity provided by Huada, Yihi speaks the local dialect and tells the tricycle driver he's from Lingshui County, visiting with classmates. The driver recognizes his grandfather's name and warmly welcomes him back, inviting him to the Grand Triennial Gala in 2 days. At the dilapidated house, Kingju complains about the weeds and mosquitoes, but Chaju declares that cleaning is his specialty and unleashes a wave of power that obliterates all the overgrowth in an instant. Inside, Chaju finds a wooden shrine that looks practically new beneath a layer of dust, concluding someone must have placed it there recently. Ignoring Chaju's immediate desire to destroy the strange statue, Yihi suggests they check what's under its clay mask first. As he lifts the mask, something feels off. He rips it away to reveal a grotesque, fleshy face underneath, realizing it's a filthy thing and telling Chaju to cut it down. The statue begins to bleed a black liquid. Yihi activates the world, freezing time as the liquid erupts from the statue. He orders Chaju to seal the object as countless screaming faces emerge from the black ooze. Kingju is struck by the psychic energy and stumbles, but Yihi channels pure martial energy into her, and she reports feeling fine. Now knowing the anomalies are tied to the statue, Yihi reveals he tagged the tricycle driver with a radiation marker and decides it's time to reel him in, telling the others to stay and watch the statue. He heads to the Jinshan Buddhist temple, where the driver, Liu Zhensheng, is being presented to the abbot for meeting the blessing standard. Suddenly, Yihi appears inside the temple, surprising the abbot. The black liquid from the statue splashes out, but his Za Warudo ability keeps the filth from touching him. 2 large golden Buddha statues in the room animate and attack him. He calmly notes that the Buddha statues can move. He makes his spatial ring invisible so the enemy won't spot it. He summons his Starfall Cleaver and prepares for battle. The statues fire lasers from their eyes, which he deems too slow as he easily dodges. He unleashes a flurry of slashes, slicing the golden statues into pieces. He notes that his life field sensing never detected any vitality from them, confirming they are constructs. He discovers a hidden door behind the destroyed statues, leading to a full underground palace with a giant Buddha inside. He decides to knock politely before entering. He calls out, asking if anyone is home. He then addresses the empty chamber, asking his hidden host if they are still going to hide like a little mouse, now that their guests have arrived. A figure's feet land on the ground, and a bold monk in red and blue robes appears, putting his palms together. A massive crystalline dragon-like form soars through a chaotic sky. As a golden, Buddha-like mecha stands over a man, insulting the robot and asking if it is addicted to playing a suit actor, to which the man below retorts for him to shut up. A robed figure approaches, addressing the man as benefactor and questioning why he has come to profane their temple, noting that his blood karma is truly heavy. The man responds by launching forward, a blur of motion as he attacks. He lands inside a structure that looks like a sewer, counting 18 sliding gates. A hissing sound alerts him to the arrival of more lizard-like creatures, and he observes that their life signatures are almost identical, suggesting they are mass-produced artificial bio-androids with Tier 1 to Tier 2 martial fluctuations. He scoffs at the attempt to Zerg rush him, boasting that the weeds on the graves of the last who tried are a meter high, before unleashing his Xuan Wang Blade Art's first form, 1,000 Leaves. The powerful slash decimates the horde of monsters, leaving their grotesque corpses piled up. He wonders aloud what kind of good temple keeps so many ugly monsters under its floor. The severed head of one creature continues to repeat a pre-recorded line about the benefactor's heavy blood karma, revealing them to be brain-dead bio-units. A sinister voice chuckles, remarking that they've provoked quite the opponent but dismisses him as nothing more. The golden mecha from before reappears, transforming its form. It declares that the benefactor is beyond salvation and must return to the wheel of rebirth. The man Yihi simply challenges it to bring it on. The massive mecha attacks, but Yihi's crystalline form clashes with it, issuing a warning that an energy spike beyond parameters has been detected, and its right arm is overheating. As the temperature continues to rise, the mecha chants Namo, and then Amitabha, while unleashing a powerful beam of energy. Yihi, caught in the blast, grits his teeth and declares that he's not done yet. He drives his jet-black, iron-hard knee into the mecha's head, causing a critical warning to flash about multiple damages to its cranial unit. The mecha deploys prayer bead float cannons and orders all batteries to fire. A voice remarks on what kind of monster he is to force the deployment of so many weapons, but Yihi dismisses the toys as mere hot weapons, useless against a martial artist. He counters with a powerful blast he calls Byagian Breath, shattering the golden mecha. He sarcastically apologizes for smashing the precious mecha figurine, and notes that the mountain base is full of either lizard men or posable mega Buddhas, concluding the mastermind must be a typical research-happy mad scientist. He discovers a passage leading down under a lotus dais and decides to investigate. One assures the doctor that the new door is unbreachable, but the doctor's associate says it doesn't matter, as they still have the cyborg army of tens of thousands of bio units to wear down even a great martial master, which will also help clear their surplus inventory. One assures the doctor that the new door is unbreachable, but the doctor's associate says it doesn't matter, as they still have the cyborg army of tens of thousands of bio units to wear down even a great martial master, which will also help clear their surplus inventory. Another person chimes in that they have a trump card, a mecha Buddha designed to counter large Lord-class beasts, which should make swatting a junior martial artist trivial. As Yi's attack shatters their defenses, the doctor angrily shouts at his subordinate to shut up, asking what kind of cursed flag he's raising when the enemy is already at their doorstep. Dr. Feng orders a quick retreat, and for the base's self-destruct to be triggered to prevent any intel from leaking. The scene reveals that 10 years ago, an organization called Laser Bird set its sights on Lingshui County, secretly absorbing Dr. Feng's research institute. They replaced the monks at Jinshan Temple and used the locals' faith for county-wide brainwashing, luring residents into human modification to use them as free test subjects. As the base begins to crumble, Dr. Feng decides that the base must be abandoned. Yihi bursts through the wall, confronting the fleeing scientists. He asks the abbot where exactly he thinks he's running. The abbot threatens to trigger a self-destruct via his watch, explaining that Laser Bird implants microbombs in all key personnel and holds their families hostage to enforce absolute obedience and secrecy. Yihi swiftly disables the guards and chokes the abbot, preventing him from speaking or activating the device. With the man subdued, Yihi demands to be told everything he has done in Lingshui County. The abbot tries to commit suicide with a poison capsule hidden in his mouth, but Yihi remarks that with him, even death is a luxury. In the underground laboratory, Yihi questions the captured doctor, who reveals there is a signal monitor in his brain that will detonate a bomb if he utters any company keywords, and so he'd rather die quickly. He bites down on the poison capsule, and his heartbeat stops as the auto self-destruct activates. Yihi, however, uses his power to intervene, explaining that vampires can turn humans or corpses into corpseborn, but they are usually no better than zombies. He states that by fusing his ancestral humanoid power with the vampire's gift, he can create retainers who keep their memories and talents, fear no sunlight, have powerful regeneration, and obey him absolutely. He tells the revived doctor that since he can't die anymore, the self-destruction is negated, and from now on his name is Mad Doctor, his only task to serve him. Yihi explains their new mental link will bypass the company's monitors. Mad Doctor's memories begin to flood in, showing a time when the lab staff were eating raw meat, which he is told were offerings from the county, 3 young outsiders. He recalls people mysteriously falling asleep in the prayer hall, and a strange numeric puzzle carved onto his own wrist. He realized it was an internal company file code, and accessing it revealed that his memories and cognition had been altered, turning him into a lab specimen. The files told him that the cannibalism, hypersomnia, and eerie clay idols were all masterminded by a cult called the Divine Descent Nation. He understood the raw meat was human flesh, and that the cult had quietly infiltrated and seized control of Laser Bird's secret base. He recalls his past self declaring that his bioman conversion technology would usher in a new era, where martial artists are replaced by more efficient biomen and machines. But day by day, his cognition was rewritten until he was fully assimilated by the cult's will. He explains that Ling Shui's abnormality progresses in 4 stages: cannibalism and hypersomnia, idol worship, and finally mass sleepwalking, which means one has become food for the will. Yi scoffs that he thought illegal human testing was dark, but this cult intends to feed an entire city to that will. The doctor reveals that the agent used to pollute minds is a demonic fetus taken from a secret realm ruin, and according to his calculations, it will mature in 2 nights. The crucial intel about the timeline came from a tricycle grandpa, who told him about the Grand Triennial Gala in 2 days. Yi pulls all the useful memories from the doctor, including Laser Bird's secrets, and his participation in the research of the Golden Gene. Although his mission from Huada is complete, he decides he'd rather steal the Divine Descent Nation's prize for himself. He orders Mad Doctor to go to ground in Lingshui and find a way to seed his blood into the county water system to maximize infection, a plan the doctor calls true madness. Yi acknowledges that converting the residents is selfish, but since they are already in stage 4 of contamination with no going back, he will try to return them to their old lives after it's over, ensuring they won't harm society under his control. Back at his base, King Zhuan and reveals the involvement of a powerful biotech organization's illegal lab, which has also been slaving force anomaly. Back at his base, King Zhuan and reveals the involvement of a powerful biotech organization's illegal lab, which has also been slaving force anomaly. Chuju suggests calling Huadu for backup as the situation is beyond Tier 3, but Yi dismisses the idea, stating he wouldn't be able to intercept the prize if they came. He tells them to relax as the danger is in the weirdness, not their immediate safety, and they will hold their position until night to witness the final anomaly: mass sleepwalking. They also dispatch a special squad to Lingshui immediately. At the Lingshui Central Water Plant, Mad Doctor reports that Laser Bird just tried to detonate his bomb, but he removed it in time and is proceeding with their plan, warning that a special squad will arrive any minute. Yi tells him to proceed regardless. The Laser Bird squad arrives, a group of 5 individuals known as Catfish, Aries, Gold Snake, Bluebird, and their captain, Black Lion. The captain, a former programmer, orders Gold Snake and Bluebird to survey Lingshui's situation, while he takes Catfish and Aries to check the Jinshan Temple base. In the city, Gold Snake and Bluebird notice the unsettling vibe, remarking that people eating tends to ruin the atmosphere and the situation won't be simple. They notice strange clay idols everywhere. Suddenly, their signal is jammed. Back in the city, Gold Snake and Bluebird witness the mass sleepwalking begin as the townsfolk close in on them. Bluebird is quickly affected, her eyes glazing over as she stares at a massive moon in the sky, under the control of a being she identifies as Balos, the Moon Nightmare. Yi, watching from afar, notes that his life field gets jammed so easily, and identifies the source as an idol in a shrine. Gold Snake tries to snap Bluebird out of it, realizing she's being controlled like the townsfolk, who are now brainwashed beyond humanity and worse than beasts. As he struggles against the approaching cultists, he hears a bell ringing and sees the impossibly massive moon hanging in the sky. At the temple, Black Lion loses contact with Gold Snake and Bluebird and realizes something big has shifted in the city, deciding to head back immediately. As they approach, they see a massive pillar of light descending from the moon into the city. They surmise this must be why their comrades went dark and decide to head for the impact point. As they land, they are immediately attacked by a figure wielding a Magi-Tech umbrella. The attacker, a woman in traditional clothing, asks who they are and why they attacked, noting from their clothes that they are not locals. She then menacingly asks if they are the vermin who trashed Jinshan Temple. Black Lion orders his subordinate, Aries, to crush the 2 pests within 3 seconds. One of the men, Catfish, leers at the woman, remarking on her beauty and that it's a shame to kill her, but that he'll be sure to enjoy her corpse. The woman, Kingju, is grabbed but manages to throw him off, disgusted by the creep. She erects an ice wall to defend herself, but Aries shatters it with a single, powerful kick. Black Lion notes that all 3 of their opponents are high-tier martial masters and orders a tactical retreat to avoid being trapped, just as Chuju appears behind him. As another figure, Yihi, appears, Ares realizes they are too close, but he tells her that he's the one here to kill them. Black Lion smirks at Yihi's boldness and uses his assassination art, creating 12 phantom bodies to attack. Yihi activates Za Warudo, seemingly stopping time and freezing the multiple attackers in place, musing that even a great martial master's bodyguarding Kai can be bypassed. He notes that he can't tell which of the clones is real, as his attack slices through the air, creating a bloody vortex. A red light emanates from his hand as he pierces Black Lion through the chest. Black Lion collapses dead. Yihi places his hand on the corpse, absorbing the blood to advance his own power. He notes that he has reached stage 8 of a martial artist. Ares and Catfish are stunned, wondering how the captain was killed in an instant by the brat, and noting that he drained his blood like a monster. Yihi tells them they're not done yet, and that he has something fun to show them. He manipulates the blood into a grotesque flesh-prison blood fiend marionette, reanimating Black Lion's corpse. Kingju, fighting Catfish, questions who these people are, as each one is worse than the last. Ares throws a device, shouting for her baby, to hold them off as a large, monstrous bioman emerges to fight. Yihi orders them to move and fall back, instructing Chuju and Kingju to coordinate with his demon shade to keep the bioman busy while he pursues the other two masters. Chuju activates his bloodline awakening, transforming into an ice demon dragon and clashing with the bioman. Yihi sends his demon shadow after Ares and Catfish, noting with surprise how fast the large creature's reactions are. He sees the wound on its neck and realizes it's a cyborg. Kingju's attack is also incredibly fast, and she unleashes her gene techniques after announcing that her charging is complete. Blasting the fleeing Catfish, Catfish crashes into a sewer pipe, remarking that the last time he ran in such a panic was on the battlefield of warlords and drug lords in the Black Triangle. He is then vaporized by a beam of energy as Yihi appears, commenting that rats really like to crawl into sewers. Ares, now alone, is horrified to see Catfish has been killed and wonders who the 3 kids are, realizing she is the only one left. Desperate to live, she looks towards the Pillar of Light, recalling the moon landing human, and believing it to be a masterpiece of God's descent to heaven. Vowing to live even if it means giving her soul to the devil, she witnesses a grotesque tower of writhing bodies reaching for the sky. She feels her muscles go stiff just looking at it, when Yihi appears behind her, mockingly asking if she wants to go up. Deciding she can't care anymore, she leaps onto the pillar of bodies and is pulled upwards towards the moon. As she ascends, she sees an ornate door and a vision of her parents, tearfully saying she misses them. Yihi watches from a rooftop, observing that the god used the fear in her heart to create an illusion of him and force her to go to the moon, finding it interesting. He notes that with the Lazerbird assassin team eliminated and the god descent heavenly kingdom arriving tomorrow, all external factors are gone, and the big show can finally begin. Back with his team, Chuju asks Yihi if he really wants to continue, as the mission's strangeness has exceeded their imagination. Yihi reassures them, mentioning a powerful secret ally. He then assigns Chuju and Kingju the task of going with his demon shadow to smash all the clay statues in the city's houses. Before they leave, he asks Kingju to believe him. She smiles and says she does, but asks him to trust his teammates more in the future and not handle everything by himself. Yihi then meets with Mad Doctor, who tells him that all the androids he killed are piled up in a large pit. Yihi plans to use the power of anthropomorphism, first reviving the biochemical corpses with a vampire virus, then granting them human-like strength to create an army of undying giants bound to his will. Mad Doctor reports that the biochemical mosquitoes carrying vampire blood have been deployed, and Yihi orders them to fly into every household and bring his warmth. After the infection is complete, he tells the doctor to repair the Mecha Buddha, modifying it with salvaged weapons. With his plans in motion, Yihi waits to see how his opponent, the Heavenly Kingdom, will act. A convoy of buses arrives, carrying the members of the God Descent Heavenly Kingdom, a doomsday faction that emerged during the invasion of the secret realm. Their teachings state that a demon fetus from a secret realm will grow by absorbing the life and spiritual energy of living beings, creating a vessel for their god to lead humanity into a true heavenly kingdom. His followers mourn a previous archbishop who was killed, lamenting that he worked so hard to grow the fetus to maturity but died before seeing it. His followers mourn a previous archbishop who was killed, lamenting that he worked so hard to grow the fetus to maturity, but died before seeing it. The archbishop declares they cannot let the world fall into a deeper abyss, and that they are saving humanity by welcoming the coming of the gods. The following night, the archbishop stands before the pillar of bodies, excited that they are about to hatch the third god fetus in the religion's history. He recounts that the first hatched god caused global climate anomalies and disasters that killed hundreds of millions, while the second descended upon Australia, causing the entire continent to lose contact and disappear from satellite reconnaissance, becoming an S-level restricted area. He declares that their religion is now here to welcome the arrival of the third god. Kneeling before a massive ornate door, he offers his blood. A voice tells him to come forward, and he enters a chamber where a platinum god coffin rests, nurtured for 4 years on the nutrients from the people of Lingshui. The god fetus inside now close to maturity. The followers begin the ritual to welcome the gods. Placing the coffin at the peak of the body pillar, the archbishop calls out to the great moon, the nightmare of the dreaming world, addressing it by its name. Moon Nightmare borrows. As the ritual proceeds and the spirits of the dead rise, a loud roar is heard, and the pure white spirits suddenly turn blue. The archbishop is horrified, questioning how the god fetus's spirit could be polluted by an unknown roar. Yihi appears behind him, apologizing for the wait. The archbishop demands to know who he is, but Yi simply cuts him down, commenting on how weak he is, despite having 3 life-saving magic tools. A new figure in a red robe appears, asking Yihi if he wants to join the Church of God. He introduces himself as Lin Kai, the current top leader of the Xia Kingdom God religion, revealing that the person Yi just killed was merely his archdeacon, a stand-in. Lin Kai states that this is an important place for welcoming the gods, and that Yi cannot come and go as he pleases. He uses telekinesis to grab Yihi, who feels himself being restrained. Lin Kai is surprised when Yihi resists, noticing a figure behind him and asking if he has also practiced magical skills. Yihi, unleashing his own power, states that the only reason he would want to leave is because he doesn't want to fight near the ghost coffin, not because he is afraid. He breaks free and attacks, but Lin Kai declares that evil creatures can't hurt him. After the explosion settles, Lin Kai emerges unharmed, reiterating that he can't be hurt because he is a person blessed by God. Yi finds his rapid healing troublesome. He then turns his attention to the remaining cultists, whom he had forgotten about. They chant that they are justice, as they simultaneously commit mass suicide. Yi finds their thought processes incomprehensible, but is curious to see what tricks they have planned. A cold and sticky spiritual energy fills the air as a 3-eyed, horned demon emerges from their sacrificed bodies. Yihi smirks, remarking that in the end, it's still just some foreign thing called the devil. Yihi observes that the cultists are really dedicated, using their own bodies as conduits to summon demons. As he watches the horde of red, horned demons materialize, he cynically asks if this is a mass spawn. He declares that he has troops to spawn as well, revealing that the lizard men he resurrected were merely vessels for these new humanoid bodies. With a flash of light, giant blue spectral warriors are summoned and immediately clash with the red demons below. From a distance, another cultist expresses shock that the bishop was killed instantly, and that so many giants have now appeared, wondering who the boy leading them could possibly be. He orders his subordinate to use spirit sight to find him. The subordinate sees a glowing figure and warns his ally not to get close, realizing they are targeting the divine embryo. A cultist wearing a red robe laments that these people came prepared, and wonders if they are Dragonlark operatives who discovered their plan. A cultist wearing a red robe laments that these people came prepared, and wonders if they are Dragonlark operatives who discovered their plan. Meanwhile, Yi feels a soul-freezing chill just from approaching the coffin, noting that the being inside seems to bear extreme hostility toward him. The system explains that during the final rite, the heavens spent 4 years gathering faith power to create a body, but half of it was polluted by Yihi, causing part of the holy power to be stolen by him at the moon demon's birth. The system explains that during the final rite, the heavens spent 4 years gathering faith power to create a body, but half of it was polluted by Yihi, causing part of the holy power to be stolen by him at the moon demon's birth. The system explains that during the final rite, the heavens spent 4 years gathering faith power to create a body, but half of it was polluted by Yihi, causing part of the holy power to be stolen by him at the moon demon's birth. The system explains that during the final rite, the heavens spent 4 years gathering faith power to create a body, but half of it was polluted by Yihi, causing part of the holy power to be stolen by him at the moon demon's birth. He thinks to himself that he never took the heavenly descent fighters seriously, and that his true enemy has always been the deity related to the moon and dreams. He taunts the silent being in the coffin, asking why it is still hiding, but gets no response. He calls out its cowardice for hiding, despite calling itself a god. Suddenly, he notices the battlefield has gone completely quiet, the sounds of giants and demons fighting having vanished without him realizing. He observes that even the battle between Chuju's Kingju and the deputy bishop is gone, feeling as if the whole world has left him behind. He observes that even the battle between Chuju's Kingju and the deputy bishop is gone, feeling as if the whole world has left him behind. A figure emerges from a frozen landscape, asking if he has forgotten his true self, and telling him the moon is an illusion. Yihi stares in shock, wondering when this all happened, as the figure, who looks like a cultist, guesses that it happened when he fell into the dream. Elsewhere, the battle rages on, with one of Yihi's allies stating they can only stall the enemy with a grand spell. She wonders how Bishop Linky is doing. Another cultist notices something is wrong with the kid's state, and can no longer sense the bishop's spirit power, realizing he must get to the divine embryo. A cultist in a red robe unleashes an attack called the Xuanmu Divine Needle. He explains that once it plunges into an enemy, blood thorns will sprout from within until the target is shredded into pulp. He declares that sin's souls will be punished by the gods, and the filthy flesh will be executed by him. As he rushes forward, another of Yihi's allies realizes the man is heading straight for Yihi. Liu Qingju yells for Chuju to save Yihi, while she holds this one back. She unleashes a massive freezing attack, noting that it drained almost all her martial kai, as Chuju tells her he understands and yells for her not to die. A cultist emerges from the ice, declaring that they can't seal him anymore. The demon breaks free from the ice completely. The cultist, now transformed, angrily asks if they think that will kill him, as he hasn't finished his revenge yet. Icicles pierce his transformed body, but he declares that the powerful bloodline of the Huadu branch runs in his veins. Using a burning blood secret technique combined with a bloodline breakthrough, he unleashes a massive blast of energy, declaring it's worth it if it sends the demon back to hell. The demon lets out a pained scream as it is engulfed in the blue energy. The ally notes with alarm that the force is wrong and that the demon actually caught his Storm Kai sword. The demon's flames scorch the sword to pieces, leaving the warrior depleted of all his martial energy. Just as the demon is about to strike the final blow, a powerful round hits it in the head. Another fighter appears, noting the presence of another expert and wondering if it's the ally Yihi mentioned. He thinks to himself that the armor-piercing round his lord left him came in handy. He reflects that he thought the boy named Chuju was the weakest, but had a hidden trump card. He decides to send a drone to help the kid recover his strength, believing taking down the big demon will be easy after that. He decides to send a drone to help the kid recover his strength, believing taking down the big demon will be easy after that. Liu Qingju is confronted by a cultist who remarks that the three of them are younger and weirder than the last, asking who they are. She coolly replies that they are just ordinary freshmen from Huada. The cultist looks down and realizes he is surrounded by corpses. His ally recognizes three of the bodies as the missing sophomore squad from Huada, and another as one of the trio they fought before. The main cultist laughs maniacally, exclaiming that God is favoring him. He regrets not sending the weak and unintelligent giants to help earlier, but resolves to send support now, willing to accept death if he fails his lord's orders. He regrets not sending the weak and unintelligent giants to help earlier, but resolves to send support now, willing to accept death if he fails his lord's orders. Liu Qingju sees the giants appear and recognizes them as friendly troops trying to stall the corpses. She decides she must go rescue Yihi first. The cultists yell to stop her from approaching the divine seed. Liu Qingju calls out to Yihi, telling him to wait for her. As she reaches for him, she grits her teeth, stating it's not over yet. She pushes on, saying it's just a little more, but a blood-thorn attack suddenly erupts towards her. She evades it and finally catches Yihi as he falls. Carrying him, she decides she must get him out of there as quickly as possible, feeling the pain from an arm she injured on the blood thorns. She uses a purple flame to suppress the thorns, spread to prevent it from affecting their movement. She looks around and sees that the giants from earlier have all been killed, realizing she can't stay any longer. A voice tells her to leave him. She looks up as the voice tells her she's done enough, and he won't blame her. She looks up as the voice tells her she's done enough, and he won't blame her. A mysterious figure appears, telling her to give him to them. Liu Qingju refuses, but is immediately struck by a psychic attack. As unbearable laughter fills her head, she struggles, thinking she can't let Yi get hurt, before screaming for them to get lost. Suddenly, the world freezes and cracks as Yi awakens, saying, "Ji Warudo." He apologizes to Liu Qingzhu, stating he woke up a little late. One of the apostates wonders how he escaped the god's illusion. The apostates decide to attack together, believing he can't block all 7 of them at once. But Yi moves in a flash, dispatching them instantly. The lead cultist, trapped in an illusion, screams in agony as Yi repeatedly slaughters him. He cries out in torment, wondering why he feels the tearing pain each time, even though it's his own illusion. He calls Yi a demon god, whom even the divine cannot punish. He wonders how Yi escapes the dream, or if the illusion has no effect on him at all, before deciding he has no choice but to shut down the dream and kick him out. The being in the coffin addresses its master, the moon god, stating it can only complete the vessel using the cultist's weak mortal body. As the dream shatters, Yi stands over the remains of the cultists, noting that the heretical sect has been eradicated. He looks up as a glowing, ethereal figure with long white hair descends, remarking that it has finally revealed itself. He identifies it as the moon god, or perhaps the moon demon. The world around him transforms into a barren, moon-like surface. Yi notes that it can't be the real moon as he doesn't feel the cold of space, deducing it's a domain similar to Master Gong Qi's killing intent domain. Yi notes that it can't be the real moon as he doesn't feel the cold of space, deducing it's a domain similar to Master Gong Qi's killing intent domain. The deity addresses Yi, expressing admiration and calling him the most outstanding human it has ever seen, especially since he stole part of its divinity. It offers to let Yi retain his consciousness after it completes itself, allowing him to step from mortal to divine. Yi bluntly refuses. He tells the deity he thought it would have a lofty bearing, but in the end, it's just a higher-level intelligent being using the same old tricks of threats and bribes as humans. The deity forgives his rudeness, stating that once its flawed mortal vessel is complete, it won't be something he can resist, and it only asked his opinion out of ceremonial admiration. It declares that his opinion doesn't matter, as the end result won't change. The deity raises its hand, and tears open the colossal humanoid body it had formed. Yi finds his body unable to move. As the deity reaches for his soul, it is surprised that it cannot sense his consciousness. Yi taunts it, asking if it realized it can't touch his panel-empowered spirit, revealing his contingency plan. He explains that he used the vampire template's regeneration and had Mad Doctor vertically split the left half of his body, so his consciousness would awaken in the other half if his main body was destroyed. A massive, armored figure descends from the sky, announcing himself as the section chief of Lonk Division, National Grandmaster Azure Dragon, here to spar. He admits he never expected to beat the moon demon Basmuth, and only wanted to steal the divine power descending onto its mortal vessel. He recalls fighting the first abomination in human history when he was still a grandmaster and understood world-ending destruction, noting that while this one has a similar aura, the gap is enormous. He recalls fighting the first abomination in human history when he was still a grandmaster and understood world-ending destruction, noting that while this one has a similar aura, the gap is enormous. He recalls fighting the first abomination in human history when he was still a grandmaster and understood world-ending destruction, noting that while this one has a similar aura, the gap is enormous. Azure Dragon is surprised that the abomination values the youth so highly and decides to question the youth, whom Shi Jingwen had called Yi Shu, after suppressing the demon. Azure Dragon is surprised that the abomination values the youth so highly and decides to question the youth, whom Shi Jingwen had called Yi Shu, after suppressing the demon. With a powerful stance, Azure Dragon declares in guard. He realizes the moon demon must have teleported him away, because Azure Dragon's battle would have annihilated the entire county, ability being used to hunt him down. He realizes the moon demon must have teleported him away, because Azure Dragon's battle would have annihilated the entire county, ability being used to hunt him down. He realizes the moon demon must have teleported him away, because Azure Dragon's battle would have annihilated the entire county, ability being used to hunt him down. He feels like he's being stalked by an obsessive pervert, and now has time to study the divinity he acquired. The system describes divinity as the origin of both forces, which explains why the silver-haired stalker threw such a fit when he stole it. The system describes divinity as the origin of both forces, which explains why the silver-haired stalker threw such a fit when he stole it. The system explains that the 5 divinity points are related to moon, dream, and illusion, and can be used to evolve a compatible template, suggesting the Rakud Puvarudo template. The system explains that the 5 divinity points are related to moon, dream, and illusion, and can be used to evolve a compatible template, suggesting the Rakud Puvarudo template. He decides against using it on the Emperor General or Ultra Giant templates, choosing to evolve his most vital trump card, the Vampire template. He initiates the evolution, upgrading the template to the A-rank Moon Demon Rakud Juwali, which grants immense boosts under Moonlight and new abilities like Moon's Darkness and a time-stop technique. He marvels at its strength, realizing that while its best abilities require Moonlight, the stacked boosts will increase his combat power exponentially. He knows Hua University will issue the highest reward for what was easily a level 5 mission, which will be invaluable for Liu Qingzhu and Chu Zhu. He knows Hua University will issue the highest reward for what was easily a level 5 mission, which will be invaluable for Liu Qingzhu and Chu Zhu. After adapting to his newly boosted physique, he decides he must re-establish contact with his backer, Hua University, to deal with the inevitable interrogation from Lonk Division about his many secrets. Back at Hua University, he is greeted by the president, Shi Jingwen. Yi expresses his admiration, but Shi Jingwen tells him to relax and be straightforward. Yi asks if he's here about the Linshui County incident, but the president informs him the mission is considered successfully completed, and he doesn't need to worry about the aftermath. Yi finds it strange that such a major incident is being brushed aside so easily. He explains the mission will be reported anonymously as a level 4, but the rewards will be equivalent to a level 5 mission. He explains the mission will be reported anonymously as a level 4, but the rewards will be equivalent to a level 5 mission. Yi finds the treatment dreamlike, and suspects the old fox might know he's cheating the system. He is shocked to see the mountainous terrain has been turned into a massive, bottomless crater, realizing the lunatic pretty boy stalker actually followed through on his threat to hit someone with the moon. He is shocked to see the mountainous terrain has been turned into a massive, bottomless crater, realizing the lunatic pretty boy stalker actually followed through on his threat to hit someone with the moon. He mentions that Principal Shi Jingwen told him Azure Dragon has a way to reseal the Moon Demon's annotation inside him, which is why he's here waiting for the second strongest martial artist in the Xia Kingdom. He mentions that Principal Shi Jingwen told him Azure Dragon has a way to reseal the Moon Demon's annotation inside him, which is why he's here waiting for the second strongest martial artist in the Xia Kingdom. Yi stares in shock, remarking that Azure Dragon's condition doesn't look too good. Yi stares in shock, remarking that Azure Dragon's condition doesn't look too good. Azure Dragon dismisses Yi's concern, telling him not to make a fuss, and admitting that while he took some frost damage from the cunning Moon Demon, he still won the battle after 100 exchanges caused its frail body to crumble. He adds that if not for its many escape tricks, he would have slain it long ago, and Yi wouldn't be sitting there waiting for him to seal the gaze mark. Yi finds it amusing that Azure Dragon is explaining things, noting that his personality is more direct and cute than the aloof image he had imagined. Azure Dragon announces that they will begin the sealing process. He explains that Principal Shi, who can calculate fate, has told him about Yi's special nature, allowing him to share a few classified secrets. He recounts a time when he was a Xuanwu master and explored a newly unearthed A-class ruin with his teacher and senior brothers, being the only one to emerge alive. He recounts a time when he was a Xuanwu master and explored a newly unearthed A-class ruin with his teacher and senior brothers, being the only one to emerge alive. He was afflicted with a terrifying curse from the ruin that caused his body to transform into a monster's and his sanity to fade. Powerless to stop it, he exiled himself to an S-class secret realm in the Atlantic, ready to die rather than harm his own people. A massive sea storm swept him to an uncharted island where he was saved by the people there, who spared him from becoming a beast. He shows Yi glowing runes on his arm, explaining they are related to the top-secret destiny of the Xia nation. Azure Dragon is impressed that Yi only bled a little, confirming his special nature. Azure Dragon is impressed that Yihi only bled a little, confirming his special nature. He tells Yihi not to resist, as he imprints 2 of the runes into his mind sea, assuring him he'll finally be able to sleep soundly without the moon demon's interference. Azure Dragon then brings up Yihi's teacher, Gong Qi, teasing that she was a bit of a bully back in their university days, and that her achievements as a Xuanwu warrior are on the low side. Azure Dragon then brings up Yihi's teacher, Gong Qi, teasing that she was a bit of a bully back in their university days, and that her achievements as a Xuanwu warrior are on the low side. He then challenges Yihi to a spar, curious to see the legacy of the famed Rose of Slaughter. Yihi suggests they spar under the moonlight. In the university's 4th panoramic arena, Azure Dragon sets the terms. He will only defend with one hand and pure physical power, and if Yihi can force him to move even half a step, Yihi will win a free request for his aid and direct admission into the Lonk Division's 1st department. Yihi accepts and unleashes his slaughter intent, manifesting a crimson moon of carnage. The overwhelming killing aura surprises Azure Dragon, who notes its similarity to the moon demon's power, but without the demonic corruption. The wave of bloodlust is so potent that it spreads across the campus, startling a man known as Sword Manor in a nearby hotel, who remarks on the insane strength of the killing aura. Back in the arena, Yihi's attack clashes with Azure Dragon's simple but overwhelmingly powerful military fist. Yihi is pushed back, realizing he is facing a brute force that breaks all techniques. As Azure Dragon sees Yihi preparing to use a dangerous, forbidden technique, he moves to stop him, but Yihi cleverly uses a blood mist to trigger a hallucination, clouding Azure Dragon's senses while a nightmare moon curse saps his stamina. As Azure Dragon sees Yihi preparing to use a dangerous, forbidden technique, he moves to stop him, but Yihi cleverly uses a blood mist to trigger a hallucination, clouding Azure Dragon's senses while a nightmare moon curse saps his stamina. Conceding the loss, the impressed Azure Dragon asks what Yihi wants. Conceding the loss, the impressed Azure Dragon asks what Yihi wants. Azure Dragon advises him to strengthen his body to support his powerful killing intent, and after some playful manipulation, gives him a badge containing a top-level body cultivation technique from a Western country, effectively making Yihi his student in disguise. Later, in his dorm, Yihi is interrupted by Aoyang Zi, who falls to his knees and begs him to become the president of the struggling Dragon Blood Club. After a brief and one-sided practice session, Aoyang Zi explains that their club was suppressed by the local student union led by Zhang Jianzhuang, causing them to lose sponsors and members in a downward spiral. He reveals that unspoken rules prevent them from seeking help from upperclassmen, making Yihi, a fellow freshman, their only hope. Yihi agrees, clarifying he is there to protect the club's assets, and Aoyang Zi introduces the Daxia Recovery Plan, a national campaign to reclaim monster-occupied cities that will also serve as the university's final exams. After making Aoyang Zi remove a surveillance camera from the hallway, Yihi agrees to the plan, seeing it as a chance to earn a high-level template. At the Dragon Blood Club Hall, members are being poached by Xin Chen to join a group led by Zhu Kai. Just as Zhu Kai arrives and orders the defectors to attack the loyal member Yan Zhengsheng, Yihi appears. He calmly grabs the arrogant Zhu Kai by the hair and throws him out of a window, remarking that it's much quieter now. Yihi puts the wavering officers on review and tells Aoyang Zi that waiting for the recovery plan is too slow. Hearing that his primary target, Zhang Jianzhuang, is in seclusion, Yihi decides on a bolder strategy. He will challenge all martial artists below the rank of Grand Martial Master in the entire university, announcing himself as a current ace of the Lonk 1st Division. Despite Aoyang Zi's disbelief, Yihi confirms he was directly recruited. The news explodes across the university, creating a massive media frenzy. The Dragon Blood Club is miraculously revived by the flood of sponsorship deals. In a hospital ward, the injured Zhu Kai learns of the challenge and plots to have someone kill Yihi in the ring. The tournament begins with Yihi making a spectacular entrance, descending from the sky under a spotlight. An internet celebrity named Long Tao steps up first, hoping to gain clout, but is defeated in a single blow. Yadling, a top second-year student, challenges next, but Yihi dismisses her and tells all challengers to attack him at once. Annoyed by his arrogance, a large crowd of students rushes the stage. In his hospital room, Zhu Kai watches in frustration as Yihi effortlessly defeats every challenger. Realizing he needs a true expert, he plots to involve his older brother, Zhu Yanting. In the arena, Zhu Yanting, A martial master who can fight grand martial masters appears. He apologizes for his brother's actions, but demands Yi kneel and apologize for insulting the Zhu family's reputation. Yi scoffs and tells him to make him if he can. Enraged, Zhu Yanting unleashes his power, his nano-battle suit receding as his body begins to glow with the immense heat of his son Blaze bloodline. Spectators watch in awe as the fight between Yi and Zhu Yanting rages on, noting that they are on a completely different level from previous combatants. Zhu Yanting is recognized as a member of a great martial arts family, while Yi is known as Hua University's Great Demon King. One observer questions if Yi's monster template is actually a demon beast due to his appearance. Zhu Yanting unleashes a fiery attack as Yi taunts him not to get distracted, reminding him that hesitation means defeat. The crowd cheers for big fiery bro Zhu to take down the Demon King, Yi. Zhu internally notes how barbaric Yi's attack style is and questions how Lonk could have recruited him. Yi feels himself getting bigger and confirms to a questioning Zhu that he is indeed growing. He explains that instead of releasing his humanoid power all at once, he's using the vampire's control over flesh and blood to gradually release it, increasing his speed, reflexes, and physical quality every second. He declares that beating Zhu now is as easy as an adult beating a child. Zhu is overwhelmed by Yi's terrifying power, feeling his painstakingly built martial body is about to break under the force of the attacks. He realizes that his own monstrous bloodline is nothing compared to Yi, who is essentially a high-level humanoid demon beast. Unable to match strength, Zhu decides he will win with speed, calling Yi the arrogant one before preparing to deal with the monster in front of him. Yi calmly remarks that Zhu clearly hasn't studied any of his previous combat data, having come to challenge him without preparation. Zhu warns Yi that his next move might kill him. He gathers an immense amount of heat energy, changing the temperature of the environment, a signature of the Zhu family's flame martial arts. He unleashes the Earth Fiend martial skill, Blazing Sun Demon Hand. Yi is finally impressed, calling the attack something decent, but asks if Zhu thinks he's the only one who can shoot beams, stating he'll use this opportunity to test his newly researched, self-created martial skill. Yi unleashes his heaven-bombing dragon cannon, a massive blue energy beam that slams into Zhu's fire attack, creating a cataclysmic explosion. As Zhu faces the blast, he believes he is going to die. Suddenly, the energy dissipates as Principal Shi appears between them. Yi tells the principal he was a bit too reckless, explaining that he saw the principal coming and decided to go all out and have a good fight. Principal Shi says he was just coming to see what the popular tournament was all about and didn't expect to be dragged out into the open, accusing Yi of planning it. Yi explains that without the principal's presence, his tournament lacks prestige. The principal remarks that Yi's teacher, Gong Qi, always called him dull and stupid, but it seems he was just messing with her. He agrees to personally support the tournament and asks if any other students wish to challenge Yi. The students in the crowd refuse, terrified by the power they just witnessed. With no more challengers, the principal declares Yi the winner. He announces that first-year Yi, a martial artist, single-handedly challenged all the martial masters in the school, an unprecedented feat. Yi's name, he proclaims, will forever be sung at Imperial University as he becomes a legend. News of Yi's victory spreads across all platforms, hailing him as Aunt Sheng's top scholar and a new rising star for all of humanity. His old high school celebrates his achievement, and discussions erupt online about the principal's endorsement and who might be backing Yi. In response, Lonk issues a statement that Yi's identity is a top-level secret and ceases all public discussion about him. Back in his dorm room, Yi reports to his master that he has obtained the golden gene hidden in Ansheng. The master confirms they have the method to open it, but warns that the container has a built-in electronic transmitter that will alert the laser bird headquarters once opened. The master assures Yi they can build a shielding room in half a month, which is the same amount of time needed to crack the container's password. The master then delves into the history of Prometheus, an organization that once cooperated with the heavenly kingdom of God's descent to cultivate a demon fetus, only to betray them and capture the first living otherworldly demon in human history. Using the demon's body, Prometheus made incredible scientific advancements, leading to Project Eden, an attempt to create a man-made god to rule Earth, and Project Fireseed, which aimed to evolve all of humanity. This project was the predecessor of the Laser Bird's Golden Gene Project. Yihi muses on the deep connections and realizes he will likely be drawn into the vortex surrounding Prometheus. Putting those thoughts aside, he decides to finally study the badge Senior Kinglong gave him, preparing to use its sleep cultivation method. He enters a virtual martial rhythm space, appearing on a desolate battlefield littered with corpses and scorched marks under a cold rain. Dressed in heavy Western-style armor, he finds it cumbersome and quickly takes it off, deciding to use the weapons of the fallen soldiers. He anticipates the arrival of the quest NPC, and soon an old man in a carriage appears but immediately tries to flee upon seeing Yihi. Yihi demands to know why the old man is running and not giving him a trial quest. The old man calls him a robber and refuses to speak with him, but Yihi uses his immense strength to stop the carriage from moving. The old man accuses him of being like a previous azure-haired martial artist who also came for his family's inheritance. Yihi, uninterested in the man's grievances, states that as a quest-giving NPC, he can't just refuse to do his job. He then destroys the carriage, forcing the old man to accompany him on foot to prevent him from running away again. The old man begrudgingly leads the way, saying he knows more manners than the blue-haired martial artist from before, and that they can find the trial location by following the spray marks. After a while, the spray marks disappear, and the old man reveals his deception, telling Yihi he will now be lost forever in this martial arts world. Yihi, however, is unfazed. He notices a bird flying overhead and correctly deduces that since flying creatures never build nests in low-lying areas, their target must be the highest point on the vast plain. He then tells the old man he'd like to borrow his horse again, and a spectral steed with blue flames appears, which he mounts to ride towards the distant mountains. Upon reaching the snowy peaks, the horse rears up, sensing danger. A massive multi-headed dragon wreathed in lightning descends from the sky. Yihi wonders if this could be the legendary nemesis of Demwara, the star-destroying calamity. The dragon unleashes a devastating energy blast. The old man watches from a distance, certain that Yihi will be annihilated and remarking that he is nothing more than a speck of dust. He thinks to himself that as the master of this space, he cannot die, and that the trial is not about killing the dragon, but about finding a spiritual object and offering it as a sacrifice to gain the dragon's recognition and the inheritance. He recalls how the blue-haired martial artist was an exception, using his overwhelming power to kill several dragons and seize the inheritance. He believes Yihi could never do that, but is shocked to see him still standing after the blast. Yihi explains that the reason he couldn't use his template's power before was due to low compatibility, but now that it's improving, its power is merging with his soul, allowing him to showcase it in this space. A dark, monstrous silhouette with glowing eyes appears behind him. The old man is horrified, asking how it's possible that this kid is a monster too. Yihi declares that the 71% compatibility of Demwara's cellular power will now completely absorb the power of the Colossus humanoid, achieving Demwara's complete transformation. He acknowledges this godlike form is temporary and will only last for 2.5 minutes, but he states that it's enough. Demwara battles the calamity that devours the stars. The old man watches in disbelief, exclaiming, "Oh my God," as the two massive beasts clash. Yihi decides to relive this classic battle in the 5 elements space. The star-devouring calamity flies high, and Yihi's Demwara form roars, asking if it thinks it can bully him because he can't fly, reminding the beast that he can also attack from a distance. Demwara unleashes a massive atomic breath attack, a torrent of blue energy that shoots into the sky. The beam is called the Meteor Emperor Demora, and it slams into the star-devouring calamity, obliterating several of its heads in a massive explosion. The dragon is left with only 3 heads, reminding Yihi of a certain 3-headed dragon from his world, and he vows that even those won't be saved. He finishes off the weakened dragon. The old man is left speechless, wondering if he's caught in an illusion, unable to comprehend how a monster could slaughter the multi-headed white dragon with such overwhelming power. Yihi reverts to his human form, feeling satisfied after rampaging in the body of a giant beast. He tells the old man that after killing the dragon, he knows where the inheritance is and won't trouble him further. The old man shouts that it's in his dreams, but Yihi simply says he'll get it himself. He plunges his arm into the dragon's still-burning corpse, remarking on the heat feeling like molten iron, and pulls out the inheritance, the armor body of the Earth Fiend, the abyssal dragon armor. The armor immediately flows onto his body, covering him completely. The old man is stunned, revealing that even the azure-haired martial artist only received 90% of the inheritance because his body was too weak to bear the dragon armor's weight. He realizes he is the first martial artist in 1,000 years to be fully recognized by the armor. When asked how he did it, Yi simply states that the moment he put it on, it was done, asking if there was any difficulty. The old man, defeated, accepts that since the ancestor has recognized him, it is fortunate for the inheritance to pass to someone suitable. Yi notes that the inheritance feels incomplete, and the old man angrily asks if he's targeting his family's other treasures too. Yi explains that the abyssal dragon armor is an extreme external cultivation method and must be paired with an internal one of the same level, a heavenly gang martial skill, to be complete. 7 days later, having spent most of his time digesting the armor's information in his dreams, Yi gets a call from Chu Zhu. Chu Zhu informs him that their mission rewards are being settled, and Yi's rewards must be collected directly from the principal's office. Wondering if the principal wants another private chat, Yi heads to the central hub of Hua University's floating city, the Heavenly Arc Tower. He is met by a woman named Enro, who he quickly deduces is not human. Enro confirms her body is a mass-produced service-type carrier, different in structure from a human female, which relieves Yi of his awkward curiosity. Upon arriving at the 667th floor, Enro tells him the principal is waiting. The moment the doors open, Yi feels a strange sensation and is instantly teleported into a chair inside the principal's office. Principal Shi Jingwen welcomes him, asking if he has learned the martial arts manual Qinglong gave him. Yi realizes the principal used a spatial ability. The principal confirms this and informs Yi that his academic points and resource cards have been credited. As the main contributor to the mission, he can choose any 2 Earth Fiend martial skills and a custom high-level weapon. However, Yi says he doesn't need weapons or skills right now. Instead, he requests access to the files on gene locks and more information about Prometheus. The principal agrees and takes him to the archives immediately. They arrive at Nuwa's central computer unit, which Yi sees is housed within half of a massive, preserved brain. The principal explains this brain once belonged to Prometheus and was part of the first living otherworldly demon captured in human history. He then gives Yi a USB drive containing a part of Nuwa, an incredible act of trust that makes Yi wonder if there's a conspiracy, before quickly ushering him out of the restricted area. As Yi leaves the tower, he's confronted by a muscular student with green hair, Xiang Jianzhuang. Xiang introduces himself as the one who almost made the Dragon Blood Club a thing of the past and calls himself the Freshman King. Yi, annoyed, tells him he needs to use the training room and to go find Aoyang Zi if he has business with the club. Xiang continues to posture, but Yi cuts him off, stating he's blabbering and blocking the door, and that it's fucking annoying before knocking him out cold. Yi reflects that with no one in the way, he can finally devour the magic cores to his heart's content in the exclusive advanced cultivation chamber. He unleashes a torrent of magic cores he has collected, subsidized, and bought, intending to push the compatibility of his Emperor template higher, as the King of Monsters is starving. He knows that consuming such a huge amount at once will trigger a metamorphosis mode and release massive nuclear radiation, which is why he had the electronic maid, Nuwa, open the largest sealed cultivation chamber for him. As he begins to absorb the crackling green energy, a system interface flashes a repeated message, indicating that the resources are still not enough to level up. The blue energy bar barely moves as he realizes with frustration that the quantity and quality of magic cores needed grows exponentially, a major flaw of high-grade templates. He acknowledges that if a template can't be converted into combat power quickly, it drags down one's growth, which is why he still works hard on martial arts and the supernatural system. After a flash of brilliant blue energy, a timer shows over 3 hours have passed, and Yi declares that when the crystal coffin opens, the King of Monsters shall appear. The scene shifts to a massive aerial fleet, where it's announced that the Great Summer Recovery Plan has begun, with 70% of the nation's martial artists mobilizing to reclaim the 12 fallen cities. An elderly man addresses the Huada students, instructing them to ignite their blood smoke banners, which they do in unison. He explains that their rising blood smoke will intertwine, creating a clash of martial kai and blood energy that embodies their battle spirit and resolve to restore Great Summer, even at the cost of death. He tells them that while many have prepared for sacrifice, they must come back alive, as living is where hope lies, and Huada will always be waiting for their return. At another location, the Imperial University martial artists follow their leader's command, swearing an oath that there is no foe before them. Elsewhere, a woman identified as Director Yu, a former Prometheus researcher, and now a laser bird executive, contemplates recent disasters. She notes the stolen golden gene, a breached base, and a lost elite squad have made the board suspect someone is targeting them. Even though Black Lion wiped all traces at the Jinshin Temple base, Lonk still blamed Laser Bird, which would have been crushed if not for the campaign to reclaim the fallen cities. This breathing room allowed Laser Bird to release a monster, the failed product of the first-generation Golden Gene experiments, a being capable of sensing other golden genes, which they plan to use as a hound to find the stolen one. Director Yu watches as the containment unit for the creature, labeled -1, is opened. Red tendrils snake out from the machine as she laughs maniacally, declaring it's time for the world to witness its terror. On a transport plane, a traitorous captain informs his crew that the hound is pointing them toward West City, one of the fallen cities Lonk is preparing to retake. One of the crew members reassures him that as long as they don't face a Grandmaster-level expert or the Lonk First Division, they can handle the situation. The captain, now revealed as the executor, secretly instructs his AI, Eve, to block the plane's signals and activate autopilot. The plane goes out of control, and the captain, smiling coldly, tells his shocked subordinate that he was never a member of Laser Bird to begin with, so it cannot be a betrayal. He apologizes, telling them to die first and that they can punish him in hell. The creature, the hound, emerges from its spherical prison and demands blood from the traitor, who reveals he's a North Baden secret agent. The agent tells the hound it's free now and offers it the hearts of the Grand Marshal Master-level artists on board as a first feast, explaining its new purpose is to vent its emotions freely in the country of Zia to disrupt their resurgence. The hound muses on its transformation from a hunting dog to a mad dog, then roars with a desire to tear everyone to pieces. It transforms into a monstrous, winged creature, declaring its first priority is to complete its golden gene, achieve a true transformation, and become a god. In West City, a military operation commences with a large-scale bombardment to attract the city's beast tide, clearing the way for a small dagger squad to decapitate the overlord. The transformed hound descends upon the chaotic battlefield, seeing it as a perfect genetic buffet to repair its damaged body. A group of martial artists, including Sister Liu and Xiao Zhang, investigate the plane crash when a shadowy figure appears amidst the slain demonic beasts. The figure, the hound in a humanoid form, grins as it notes the prey has taken the bait. Xiao Zhang attacks with a Kai wind slash, but his attack is absorbed into the creature's body, as if cutting into soft mud. The hound devours him, horrifying his teammates. It then uses the exact same Kai wind slash technique. It just absorbed against another warrior, shocking Sister Liu, with its ability to copy skills. The creature's body morphs into a grotesque mass of faces, the voices of its victims crying out for help, causing Sister Liu to scream for everyone to run. The hound relishes its new freedom, planning to blend in with other teams and suddenly devour them, imagining their priceless expressions. In the heart of the battle, a dagger team from Hua University, led by Dean Chen Tianyu, presses forward on their mission to kill the Overlord. Chen Tianyu, relying on his powerful martial artist's intuition, senses danger and orders his team to halt and be on guard. A massive, flaming projectile hurtles toward them as a voice taunts them for stopping. The West City Overlord, a gigantic golden-horned beetle, emerges and declares its presence, prompting Chen Tianyu to order his troops to form up and attack. The team engages the beast in the ruined war zone, with one member unleashing a lightning-infused spear attack. The Overlord scoffs at their petty tricks, declaring it will show them what pure brute force suppression is. It slams its fist down, but another warrior intervenes with a secret technique. Water droplets pierce stone hand, striking its torso. The Overlord acknowledges that the cunning humans must have studied its characteristics to devise their tactical squad. Another warrior, Kian, is told to go, and she assists in casting a yin-yang symbol that attempts to seal the Overlord's movements. The beast is momentarily trapped, but questions what martial art could possibly restrain it. It unleashes its own power, a domain expansion, filling the area with a swarm of smaller insect-like creatures and breaking free. It acknowledges that the human cultivation system has its merits and that perhaps the Emperor was right about learning from them. The team's combined attack culminates in a massive explosion. The surviving team members wonder if they defeated the Overlord, but their leader states that merely injuring it would have been enough to achieve their goal. The smoke clears to reveal the Overlord, damaged but alive, who compliments them, stating an ordinary Overlord might not have survived. It declares that there are differences even among Overlords, and that it is above them all. It then undergoes a startling transformation, molting into a sleeker, more humanoid form, its golden-horned insect second molting stage. The transformed Overlord decides to kill the troublesome old man first and moves with incredible speed, appearing before the human warriors in an instant. It dodges their attacks and brutally strikes down Wu Hong with a Thunder Dragon spear. It grabs the team leader by the neck, mocking their small team for being unable to handle even a single Overlord, and questioning how they could possibly deal with the other Overlords of West City. This revelation shocks the captured leader. Meanwhile, in the East War Zone command ship, a Level 1 warning is issued as a massive Overlord-level bioenergy signature is detected rising from underground. The crew is shocked, believing the Golden Horned Beetle was the only Overlord, and they prepare to drop bunker buster nukes as a massive tentacle attacks the ship. They fire railguns, but the tentacle regenerates instantly, forcing them to launch the nukes immediately. The triple nuclear explosion engulfs the area, but to their horror, the Overlord's life signature remains. Just as despair sets in, the ship's central system authority is taken over by Manhwa, who announces that the warriors have fought well and should now hand the battlefield over to him. An intercontinental ballistic missile is detected heading toward them, and the crew spots a lone figure standing on top of it. A flashback shows Yi emerging from his cultivation, being congratulated on his breakthrough and given a special nano suit. He learned he had been in seclusion for 5 hours and demanded an icebum to get to West City faster. His goal was twofold: retrieve the golden gene and kill the Overlord to obtain its demon core for the final step of his evolution, as his 99% synchronization with the Emperor Demon template required a higher-tier gene to complete. Back in the present, Yi, riding the missile, sees the new Overlord that survived 3 nukes and knows it holds the key to his final 1%. He mockingly asks the creature, whom the database calls the Earth Demon, if it's angry because he insulted its unimposing name. The massive tentacled beast roars as Yi smirks, remarking that the Emperor General has quite a temper too, as he prepares for a cataclysmic battle. A woman exclaims in relief that a Grandmaster has been sent to reinforce them, believing West City is now saved. An older man in a uniform agrees, stating they can actually win. Yi stands amidst crackling blue energy, noting that his blood-burning secret art won't last much longer. He declares that winning this battle is what matters, even if he doesn't have many years left to live. His opponent, a golden-armored insectoid creature, comments on the mysterious nature of Yi's forced attacks, but claims they cannot make up for the absolute gap in power. Yi unleashes an Earth Fiend martial art technique, the 1,000-fathom thunder stake, sending a massive blast of energy towards his foe. The insectoid creature boasts that the Emperor's conversion experiment has been perfected and offers to recommend Yi's corpse for a more powerful rebirth. The golden creature complains that the human's life-burning move is annoying. It explains that it was holding back its power to preserve the human's powerful corpse, but now intends to shatter the onlookers into slag instead. Suddenly, a new voice remarks on the lively fight, and a figure resembling Wu Hong appears, surprising the others who thought he had died in battle. Elder Mu questions if the man is Wu Hong. The figure, now revealed to be a monstrous version of Wu Hong with dark energy, wonders aloud if he died and laughs maniacally. The possessed Wu Hong comments on the deliciousness of the Grandmaster's mount and expresses a desire to taste the Grandmaster himself. He then turns to the other humans, telling them they look incredibly delicious too, and asks for a taste. A dark, tentacled creature with glowing red eyes, which calls itself -1, emerges and questions what this disgusting thing is. It senses the aura of dark Y-star aberrance and wonders if this is a creation of the humans, noting it might be better for them to rule this planet if so. The creature, a grotesque, brain-like being, laughs and introduces itself to the golden insectoid, stating it is here to eat it. The golden insectoid creature roars back, calling it arrogant. The golden creature is shown easily defeated. It cries out in alarm as -1's flesh and blood begin eating into its body. -1 reveals its true, much larger anglerfish-like form explaining that the smaller creature was merely bait. It states that, as expected of a dominant creature, it was unable to digest and absorb the golden insectoid immediately, and that it is still struggling inside its body. Seeing this, another man tells his comrades to take advantage of the moment and flee with Dean Chen. -1 turns its attention to them, licking its lips and saying it hasn't forgotten them, promising they will be its dessert. -1 lets out a pained cry. A massive beam of blue energy descends from the sky. The onlookers are stunned by the powerful energy, wondering if another overlord has appeared. They realize the attack is coming their way. 3 of them move to protect Dean Chen, questioning if the attacker is someone else's target, not a hegemon. The new figure, glowing with blue energy, confronts -1, stating that they had thought it had taken down the overlord and was on their side. But now that it is going to eat Dean Chen and the others, the figure declares it cannot let it get away with it. The new figure, Yihi, attacks with a powerful blast. -1 is blasted upwards, crying out in pain. Yihi launches himself into the air and unleashes a powerful attack he calls Earth Throne. The attack creates a massive crater in the ground. A system window appears, identifying the host as Yihi, with the Madman Dimora template at 100% compatibility, and noting that the Flame Lord form is unlocked and should be used with caution. -1, regenerating, tells Yihi that it was a really strong attack that completely stunned it, something it had never experienced before. However, it thanks Yihi, explaining that the attack helped it digest the golden creature and master its overlord-level genes. -1, now in a new, more powerful form with golden armor, promises that in return, it will make Yihi watch helplessly as it devours him bit by bit. Yihi tells it to stop barking like a dog. He fires a curved shot of energy. -1 taunts him, telling him to keep fighting. It then grows to a massive, monstrous size, roaring that Yihi can't kill it and that it will become his nightmare. Yihi remarks that this is the first time he's seen someone even more arrogant than himself, and declares that getting bigger just makes it easier for him to blast it to pieces, unleashing a Godzilla secret technique, Imperial Kai Blast. The onlookers marvel at the Grandmaster's speed and power, noting that even a Grandmaster in the butterfly transformation stage would find him hard to match. They comment on the unfamiliar blue energy fluctuation, but are relieved that this strongman is on their side. -1 boasts that the attack is useless, and that it can split infinitely, which it proceeds to do. -1 claims Yihi's nuclear attacks are only accelerating its cell division, outpacing the atomic energy diffusion. Yihi finds this disgusting, but notes that the maximum compatibility with the Emperor gave him a powerful sense of Kai and blood. He senses that the creature is constantly adapting to his atomic energy. The creature boasts of its invincible evolution, claiming it can never be defeated and will eventually devour Yihi. It senses the incredibly powerful genes within Yihi, which make the overlord-level genes it just devoured seem worthless. It questions why, despite devouring countless beings and developing perfect genes, it still cannot compare to the man before it, then roars that it will eat him alive. An onlooker notes that not only is the powerful individual strong, but the monster is as well, and wonders if the mysterious figure can handle it. Yihi smirks, calling the creature a foodie after all that talk. He activates his genuine dragon armor, liberating one arm. He declares that one punch splits the sea, as he unleashes a massive blade of energy. The monster, bisected, wonders how this could be. It screams, asking how Yihi's power could increase. Yihi calmly states that his strength will always be greater. He then unleashes his genetic ability, Air Explosion, causing a series of massive blasts around the monster. Yihi claps his hands together, then grins menacingly. A new red-hued figure appears, unleashing a series of attacks: Deadly Acid Elbow Strike, Molten Lava Iron Mountain, and Thunderous 5-Strike Lightning Whip. -1, still regenerating, wonders what the hell it has been eating. A new red-hued figure appears, unleashing a series of attacks: Deadly Acid Elbow Strike, Molten Lava Iron Mountain, and Thunderous 5-Strike Lightning Whip. -1, still regenerating, wonders what the hell it has been eating. The red figure declares it doesn't believe he can be more invincible than it, the perfect being, and unleashes an ultrasonic roar. The red figure asks if he is kidding with these nonsensical attacks, and says it's his turn to say that Yi can't kill him. He explains his physical strength, spirit, and body have been elevated to a new dimension, making his stats several times their normal level, and that Yi probably couldn't even break his defenses if he stood still for a whole day. -1 is filled with despair, realizing it truly can't beat him. It laments that even though it's getting stronger every moment, the gap in strength is too great. It compares the gap to a kilometer, and its own progress to shortening it by 1 or 2 centimeters, a meaningless change. The shadowy form of Yihi towers over it. The creature thinks that with more time it could surpass him, but it's too late now. It blames the sudden breakdown of the Golden Gene's aura, claiming that otherwise it would have reached a more perfect state, and wouldn't be in such a sorry state. The creature concedes that Yihi is no less than a perfect being and that it hasn't found a way to kill him. It offers a deal. It will not invade the city or the country, but will instead travel to other countries like the Northern Barton Federation, which aligns with their policy of counterbalancing power. It suggests they divide the Blue Star, with it ruling the North Baton continent, while Yihi rules the East and West. It even offers to help Yihi develop targeted toxins against the world's strongest individuals if he can obtain a drop of their blood. Yihi holds up one finger. The creature asks what that means. Yihi holds his finger to his lips, telling it 10 minutes. He says that if the creature is still alive in 10 minutes, he'll take its surname, and suggests it just clench its fist. The creature is incredulous, asking if he's kidding, boasting that every cell in its body is roaring to evolve and it can't be allowed to die. Yihi tells it to try and see, then grabs it and says, "Take off," launching them both into the sky. The creature laughs, boasting that the attack doesn't even scratch it and Yi can't kill it. As they fly into space, it asks what Yi wants to do, throw it off Earth. It claims cosmic rays and absolute zero can't kill it, and that it will continuously absorb radiation and evolve, eventually returning to kill all humans. Yi, now high above the planet, notes that the distance is about right to avoid devastating damage to West City, and that at such a great distance, the creature should have lost contact with its derivatives. The creature is shocked, asking how he knew. A narrator's voice explains that Negative One's true form is not as invincible as it boasted, as it was previously captured by the laser bird. It's difficult to kill, but each regeneration consumes life energy, making it weaker. The explanation continues, stating that the body parts of Negative One that were separated do not lose activity, but enter a dormant state. When the main body exhausts its life energy, it will activate the backup consciousness in these parts, achieving an alternative resurrection. However, this ability to split consciousness is not yet perfected and is currently limited. Yihi tells the creature he knew because he's better than it. He explains he sensed the connection between the main body and the detached parts using his life magnetic field, and by observing the battle, he deduced a distance limit to that connection. He concludes that, in other words, the creature now only has one life left. The creature realizes he has seen through its plan and panics, thinking it can't die. It activates its secret weapon for survival, self-destruction and splitting. It boasts that as long as even a single piece of flesh reaches the ground, it can survive, and taunts Yihi, asking if he can possibly catch every single piece. Yihi asks if it feels an instinctive fear of death. Yihi's form grows to a colossal size. Yihi tells it that it has nowhere to run. Yihi tells it that it has nowhere to run. He says it doesn't need to grab every piece, just hold them all in its palm. The creature, now just a small piece of flesh, asks what he wants and if he wants to eat it. It asks if he's a Warcraft, actually thinking of eating his opponent, and calls him arrogant, asking if he's not afraid it will devour him from within. A giant, ethereal form of Yi, he opens its mouth over the creature. The giant form states that devouring it is just the first step in the extermination plan. The giant form states that devouring it is just the first step in the extermination plan. The giant form declares the next step is to unleash the Flame Lord, as red energy erupts. Inside, the creature screams, asking if he is trying to use it as a medicinal pill, refusing to accept it. It cries that it is the most perfect being, and just needs time to become a god. 10 minutes ago, Dai Kaiming at the West City War Zone headquarters reports that the Beast Tide has been annihilated, and all overlords killed. Dai Kaiming notes that without the mysterious, powerful figure, their plan to retake the city would have been difficult. He asks for the expert's identity so he can personally express his gratitude. The response is that the expert is a student at his University of Washington. He's shocked, asking which senior martial arts master it could be, as he's never heard of a student in his year breaking through to the Grandmaster level. Back in space, Yi comments that Negative One not only looks bad, but doesn't taste very good either. Back in space, Yi comments that Negative One not only looks bad, but doesn't taste very good either. Yan Jun's high temperature has burned away the nano suit, Yihi decides to assess Negative One's true potential. It's explained that the advanced vampire bloodline combined with the god template's evolutionary ability allows one to absorb and refine Negative One's genetic abilities. Yihi's form changes, inheriting the creature's black and red biomass, which can not only simulate clothing, but also repair the damage he took in Flame Lord form. He realizes it's more of an optimization than a repair, feeling like he can freely sculpt himself like in a character creation game. He relishes the wonderful feeling, noting the ability is no less than a high-level template. Back on Earth, at the Northern Baton Commonwealth's Federal Military Command Base, General Duller is alerted by the federal supercomputer, Eve, about a violent, high-energy reaction at the boundary of the stratosphere and thermosphere above the Zia Kingdom, equivalent to a nuclear explosion of tens of millions of kilotons. He's furious, wondering what's happening with the Zia Kingdom's reconquest plan. Eve detects life activity at the epicenter, shocking them, as an explosion of that magnitude should turn even a Grandmaster to ashes. The general orders a zoom-in on the satellite image. The satellite image shows a close-up of Yihi's face, glowing with immense power.